No, the recording.
That's what I mean, the recording.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Today
morning.
is Win the Buyer, and Kevin Probst is going to teach you. You are very fortunate, wealth of experience, very successful. If you were at the sales meeting yesterday, you would have heard he has
Oh, God,
7.
don't say that. You're killing me.
Currently, he has 7 properties under contract.
Wow.
Okay, it's January. Okay, so I think you might learn a thing or two from Kevin. And as I've told you, we are gonna take pictures. Sorry, Naomi. All right, Tom, we started class.
Oh, you did?
Thank you.
Hey, good
All righty. Glad everybody's here. A few more coming.
All right, so let me tell you a little bit about me. I got in real estate in '04. I had been in higher education. I worked down at Georgia State University for 21 years. I was an assistant dean of students. I was men's golf coach. And in '04, they called me into the vice president's office and said, "Kevin, you've got perfect evaluations. We have no complaints. However, we feel like we don't need your position anymore." So I had to, kind of come up with something new. Brad and I have been childhood friends since we were 8 years old.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
He grew up
Played a
down
couple
the
rounds of golf with him.
yeah. He grew up down the street from me. In fact, when we were kids, every Sunday our parents would take us over to Chastain, and we would do something called GBH, golf ball hunt. And we would come back with 50 to 100 balls, and we'd have a draft and pick the golf balls that we wanted. So I called Brad. He was my realtor on my first 2 purchases, and I said, real estate and corporate recruiting is the 2 things I'm interested in. Corporate recruiting, I was going to have to get in more at the ground level. Real estate, you can get in you can come in and do what you want to do, and plus you get your license and everything in 5 weeks. So that's what I did. I've been in this office from day one, 16 years, coming on. I generally do somewhere between 8 and 10 million a year.
Wow.
So it's something that I enjoy. I've just now broadened my business where I now have a partner, and you talk about those 7 transactions. If I didn't have her as my partner, I don't know where I'd be, because to be able to share that workload, and I have a part-time assistant to help too. So that's kind of about me. I've lived in Atlanta my whole life. Grew up, went to high school right by Northside Hospital at Ridgeview. Went to Georgia Tech. Stayed right in Atlanta. Got a master's at Georgia, then worked at Georgia State for 21 years. So everything's right here, but that's also afforded me to have a lot of contacts. 50 plus years of those contacts is what has built my business. So you all kind of know each other. I don't know some of y'all, so I want to hear a very quick who you are, if you're new to real estate, and what you did prior to getting into real estate. So Tom, you can start.
What I did prior to being in real estate, I jumped around, bartended a lot, had a bunch of different businesses that I was never really hugely successful in. '07, I had a really good gig working. I was being a recruiter, and
Yeah.
hiring freeze. And I'd been doing it for about 6 months, and I had a bunch. Anyway, long story short, 10 and '10, a buddy called mine. He's Mark McKellar. He was the franchise development for Home Investors. He owned a franchise here in Atlanta. He said, "We're getting the band back together." He had gone through a divorce. So I've been buying and selling real estate for about since 11, really.
Okay.
So and I know how to. I know the ins and outs of real estate. I've been in over 1,000 houses. I've put 300 plus deals together.
Good.
And I've just recently gotten my real estate license. So I've been in Atlanta for 25 years. Know a ton of people. So
So is this to help your investment business, or you use your license to do both?
So, yeah, so my angle is this, and what I'm finding is I'm leaving money on the table because I've been driving around and calling people who have vacant houses, finding their phone numbers, and then just saying, hey, do you want to sell them an investor?
Right.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to sell for that number. Okay, so then I just keep calling them until they next thing you know, yeah, I just sold it with a real estate agent. Thinking to myself, okay, why can't I do that and then capture those people? The fallback will be my number if we can't get it sold. And in this market right now, if you get a listing, it's going to sell. So
Oh,
I'm working down the west side of Houston. So that's kind of my gig right now.
All right, Jen.
Let's see, before real estate, my ex-husband and I owned a bunch of different businesses, and one of them was a internet service provider business that we started in our house, and we did really well back in the day, back in like 2000 and, 1996 to 97 is when we started that. And we were killing it. We were like billing $100,000 a month on credit cards. And just, the internet service provider business, the phone companies got involved in it, and all of a sudden that business was going away. So
Right.
he said, if you want to continue to live the lifestyle you've become accustomed to, you need to go get a job. And so I thought, well, the only thing I know from growing up is my parents invested in real estate, and we would run around, and I've been painting and scraping and cleaning up property my whole life. So I decided to go get my real estate license, and that was 2004. And so I've been selling real estate ever since.
Oh, okay.
In
Who were
Charlotte.
you with?
I was in Charlotte.
Okay.
I actually went to UGA. So I have friends from Georgia, but I haven't talked to them since Georgia days. And I got remarried and moved to Atlanta. So I've been sold in Charlotte
Okay.
most of my real estate career, and then I spent a couple years in Beaufort, South Carolina after my divorce, running away to the beach,
Yeah.
and that was really fun too. I sold a lot of retirees down there. That
I
were,
got a football and everything.
there you go.
Very good.
Worked for Low Country Real Estate down there. You've probably
Okay.
seen their signs.
Huh?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Tasha Kane. I guess we're just doing a little background about ourselves.
Tell them what we did before we got real estate and how long we've been doing it.
Oh, okay. So I've been licensed since April. I've been with this office since December, and I am a professor. I'm still teaching at various universities, and I'm trying to transition into a full-time realtor.
And what are you teaching?
Mostly business and marketing courses, operational, things of that nature.
Hopefully that can be useful to this.
Hopefully.
Damn, I'm sorry.
All right,
Golly.
Good morning. I was in retail and I worked as a receptionist at a physical therapy office. I got licensed in 2016. I was with Remax, and I'm here.
Okay. Normally this class is all rookies. I mean, this is now today some good veterans, so it's good. Go ahead, Emily.
And I am Rick. I got my license in November and started here like 2 days before Thanksgiving. And before that, I was in nursing. And then,
All right. That's all you got. All right, let's go back to Ralph.
Kevin, I'm Ralph Freeman. I am a native Atlantan like you. I'm also a widower. My wife died 9 years ago this month. And I spent 10 years with IBM marketing. I left there and spent 40 years in singing around the world in churches. And I got into real estate last year. Just got my license in November, this past November. So I'm brand new to the business.
All right. Great. All right.
Hello, my name is Naomi. I am a registered nurse for 20 years this year, actually. I just got my real estate license at the beginning of January, so I am new as a licensed realtor. I have a history of investing. We have some properties. My husband does flipping. He's a contractor, so little bit of experience there, but nothing in the world of real estate, but here I am.
Okay. Now let's go back there.
Tracy.
Okay, Tracy, tell us about yourself.
Well, I got my license December 27th,
Okay.
and before that I did mortgages for about 17 years. Worked in banks as banking center managers throughout, and I also worked for Invest Atlanta, managing their homeownership center for a while. And recently, before coming here, and now I work for a nonprofit. So I work for Operation Hope. So I do financial well-being coaching for people to get them prepared for homeownership.
That's a valuable asset to be able to have. I just talked to someone, both of them were in the mid 500s. They were all excited. They're just having a baby next month. And you gotta tell them, no, you can't, it's gonna take you probably a year to get to where you want to get minimum. The loan officer that I normally use, that's not her specialty. She can give a recommendation, but that's a nice thing that you've got to be able to probably speak firsthand about how to do that. All right.
My name is Tony Wilson. I went to high school on the south side, MD Collins, and then moved to Washington, D.C., where I stayed for 30 years, where I was a TV journalist for CNN, ABC, and TV One. And then moved back to Atlanta in August, got my license in December, and here I am.
I got a buddy of mine. He has the MD Collins lunch group.
Oh, yeah?
They go to lunch. I want to say he's probably class of 82 or 83.
I might know him.
Gary Robbins.
The name is familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Colette Devine, Mike's husband, and I had a patent to devise to process medical waste on site at hospitals at the rate of 4,000 pounds an hour in Texas and Louisiana. And then we sold that, and then he got cancer, so became a realtor, and he was also an attorney. So we founded a company called Texas Association of Commercial Tenants, and he was very knowledgeable at getting commercial tenants out of their leases and winning in court. And then Texas changed their laws, and then ended up moving back here. I brought my mother here to be with 2 other generations, but I've been a realtor since 2005, and I'm still licensed in Texas. And I worked for Racetrack Petroleum back in the 90s.
And it seemed like when I talked to you, first time I met you, you were on the commercial side, weren't you?
Yes.
Are you going to do residential now too? Or?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I gotta eat.
Yeah. All right, Rochelle.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Cabell, and I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised. I came to Georgia to find myself. 3 husbands later, I got my license in November of 2019, and I'm the rookie. I've been in customer service for 25 years selling commercial trash compactors.
Okay.
So I'm here to see how I can translate that into being a billionaire real estate.
A billionaire, okay. Well, so we kind of got a mix here, and I have to assume everyone's a rookie. So the people who have been selling, some of this will be redundant, some of it will be stuff to reinforce what you know. I always like to tell people, and I'm dating myself, everybody knows what a Rolodex is, don't they? You're going to hear something that I say, and you're like, ooh, I like that, and you're going to put it in your Rolodex. And then some of this stuff, the other thing I always try to emphasize is I'm going to tell you Kevin's way. I'm going to tell you we're not in real estate school anymore. That, what you learn in school is very legalistic. I'm going to tell you the practical way that things really happen out here in the real estate world, not so much the legalistic world. Although, the office will keep you out of jail. I can take it back. All right, so did everyone have this handout?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone's got the handout. All right. So the class is structured. We will spend probably the first hour just kind of talking about buying in general. This is a very open class. Please stop me, raise your hand, ask me questions throughout. I welcome that all the time. After we take a break, I will come back and I'm gonna walk you through, I'll walk you through a buyer's consultation. And then the last thing we do is I'm gonna walk you through a transaction from literally meeting a buyer to closing. And it'll be step by step by step by step. And that's why I need my chart over there. Hopefully Stacy will bring that in there so I can use it.
Let me go reminder.
Huh?
You want me to go reminder?
No, I mean at break
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay.
So yeah, we're fine. All right, so I'm gonna be, as we go through this handout, I'm gonna be filling in the blanks and then kind of talking about everything. So looking at your handout, a buyer is a person who
Buys.
buys, absolutely. There's upsides and downsides to working with a buyer. The biggest thing on the downsides of working with a buyer is they're very demanding of your time and energy. Literally, I can be out with buyers for 2 to 4 hours. All life stops at this point. But you're still getting emails. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 other deals that you're juggling. People are wanting answers. And a buyer, I'm a big believer that when they get in my car, or if I'm with them, I've got to let them know they're the most important person in this world right now. If I'm sitting over here looking at my phone and oh yeah, that's right, that's not showing that I'm committed to being there for them, and that's all they want is that, Kevin, you're my person, you're my buyer's agent. Your job is to get me the best house for the lowest price possible, or to outline how they can get the house. Maybe not for the lowest price possible, but here's how you can get this house. So, unfortunately, it just takes time to do those things. The nice thing on the listing side, you put it in the computer, and the buyer's agent do all the work for you. So that's a beautiful thing.
Unless you have a bad buyer's agent, like I've had in the past, where I had to do their documents.
For
Just to get the deal done for the buyer's agent.
for the buyer's agent, yeah, you're talking about it's a listing agent.
Yeah, I was the listing agent.
Yeah, that's true. I always say that the strongest agent is the one who will get the deal done. There's also no guaranteed income that's out there. You can literally be working for someone, showing them 20 to 30 to 40 homes, and all of a sudden you feel like you're getting close, and they've come back to see another one a second time, and then they tell you, I'm just not quite feeling it, and I had to commit to another year's on my rental, so I'm going to rent for another year. And you're like, it's just so frustrating because you realize I was running around, I was previewing homes for you while you were at work. I was going and as soon as they were listed to go check them out and so forth, and you're doing all this and there's no guaranteed income. Each of you at some point will have them sign a buyer's brokerage agreement, but realize up front all they have to do is send you an email and say, man, this isn't working, I appreciate your time, and that's it. It's over. So to me, the buyer's brokerage agreement it's an evil necessary, but it means so little in the great big scheme of things. I never want to let them know that, but that's just kind of the long and the short of it. There's a huge lack of loyalty. Buyers will play dumb, and I've always said, maybe even if this is true, they still should have an ethics about them to do the right thing. And when I say this, I'm referring to a couple of situations. And this is, you know, I tell my people on my buyer's consultation, I build my business off of trust and loyalty. Trust and loyalty. And I say that at least 3 times to get them to hear that. And I give them business cards. I say, I want you to use my card when you go to an open house. I want you to use my card if you see a new construction site. But you know, it's going to happen to everybody where you're working with somebody and all of a sudden you call them and they say, you know, I had a friend whose house went on the market. We went by there and we're under contract. and you know, you're like, you know, what else could I have done? And here again, this happened to me. I had sold their $550,000 home, so I had made money off them. They were downsizing to around a $300,000 home. And I got that phone call after I had shown them homes. We had made an offer on a home, and I had a buyer's brokerage agreement. I could have, you know, said, "Hey, you still owe me the commission." But you have to realize this is a relational business. It's, if you start looking at it as transactional, you're never going to get ahead. After I had a frank conversation with him, told him how he could have got me involved in this. He was not going to be represented, and at that point, I said, Jeff, this is fine. It's up to you, and good luck, and let me know if something should go awry. I'm here for you. So I tried to become his cheerleader at that point. And sure enough, when his daughter got engaged, and he called me up, and I helped find a home for his daughter. So I still made something else after that. So if I had taken the approach, you know, are you kidding me? What are you doing? You know, you're leaving me out. You know, because I always like to tell buyers, look, this is all about you. It's not about me. The other lack of loyalty that happens is people, you tell them, you go through all this stuff, and the next thing you know, there was this new subdivision out there, and we went into the trailer, and they showed us around, and we're under contract. You know, same thing. You know, did you tell them about me? Oh, was I supposed to? And they're like, oh my God. So you know what you hope is that, you know, I had a guy back in around Labor Day call me up, kind of the same thing. Hey, we found a subdivision. We want you to come out here. We're ready to make write a contract. So he brought me in from day one, even though they found it. I mean, it's still a year-long process that I got to go to a lot of meetings, be there for them time after time. Occasionally, people will get cold feet. They will get cold feet. You know, kind of what I was saying earlier about the person who, you know, you look at homes for a month, they get under, or they get close to being under contract. Nah, I think I'm going to wait another year. I heard rates were going to go down. Like, where did you hear that? You know, was that just a buddy that you saw at work? I got a guy under contract right now, and this one will take, because it's the best house I've shown him. We've been looking for 2.5 years. We've probably put 3 or 4 contracts out there. He's had to pay for several inspections. But at the end of the day, what he ended up getting was probably the best thing for him. And you know, but he was getting cold feet because, you know, he'd just gone through a divorce. He wasn't sure if he should be getting just a starter home for his kids over in their kids' school district. Should he wait and he could afford a bigger house, but he was kind of in limbo because, do I want this high of a payment in a home? And he ended up kind of getting in between, where he just decided to move a little bit further north, still in good schools, his kids were gonna have to change schools, but he wasn't gonna be at the 300 level. He wasn't gonna be at the 190 level. You know, he's under contract for like 254. So it was a happy medium for him, and he got a great house for it. When deals fall apart, you can lose the client. That can happen in the springtime with multiple offer situations. And it's no fun. And this is why you, once again, you gotta use your consultation to tell people, this is a fast market. You know, when there's more than one offer, we're gonna have to consider offering more than the list. It's gonna make you uncomfortable. Sellers can put buyers uncomfortable right now, in this time of the year. You need to go ahead and write a letter why you want this home, and you can do all these things, and then all of a sudden, you know, there's 4 or 5 offers in it, and it's you can only control your offer, and you really not a whole lot you can control on that other than a couple of things. But let's say all of a sudden they you know, let's say it's listed at 300, they offer 310, they're only putting 5% down. Or let's say they're doing FHA, and then all of a sudden someone comes in, maybe only offers 305. So it's an all cash offer, no contingencies, no appraisal. Well, if I'm the seller, I'm going to take it just a tad bit less when it's guaranteed. So all of a sudden you lose deal number 1, and all of a sudden here comes deal number 2. The same thing happens. You know, first day on the market, they go see it, they love it, write an offer. The listing agent tells you, well, we're not going to look until Sunday night. I hate that. Oh my God. You know, you want them to, you know, you're the first guy in, you got the first offer, deal with me. But, you know, the problem is there are no rules for listing agents. They can do what they want to do. Owners can do what they want to do. If they want to wait till, you know, here it is Thursday, if they want to wait till Sunday, I can't do anything about that. And then the next thing you know, you get an email Sunday night. We are now in a multiple offer situation. We'll take your best offer by noon tomorrow. And all of a sudden, let's see, you don't get that one. Now all of a sudden, all the things that you're telling them, it doesn't matter that they're FHA, and it doesn't matter that they had a bankruptcy 8 years ago, and you know, if you keep going on all of some of the negative things, they think you failed them. I was supposed to get this house. Why haven't you done this for me? And you can lose a buyer that way. I want to say I probably had one, and actually it was like, thank God when his mother called me. You know, she was making all the decisions for him, which was half the problem. But he had to have closing costs, and he was FHA. And everything we were going, and it was in a price point somewhere between 175 and 200, where everything we looked at, it was a fast market, and you know, your percentages are so little when you're dealing with 175 to 200 versus 6 to 625. So you know, if it's listed at 179, you know, and you need 5,000 in closing costs. And then you're all of a sudden, you know, you look at the appraisal and you're like, well, the highest thing that's ever sold is 174. You know, it just doesn't make sense to offer 185 when you know it's not going to appraise. So these are all the different dynamics that go in when you're working with a buyer. So those are the downsides. All right, let's look at the upsides, because there's many upsides. It's the quickest way to generate a commission check. Literally, when I'm through with this class, I could check my phone. Might be a call from a client that says, hey, show me this house this afternoon. We're under contract by noon the next day, and we close in 22 to 30 days. That's the quickest way. And let's say that, I mean, if they're a cash buyer, you could close in anywhere from 7 to 14 days. So that's, to me, the quickest way. Obviously, is that gonna happen very often? No. And on the selling side, it's gonna happen less, because most people, their house is not, even though they think it's ready, when you go out to look at it, it's not gonna be ready. So all of a sudden, you've got anywhere from 10 to 30 days when people want to list. So that's the quickest you can get on the market. Now, they may have moved out, it's vacant, but even so, it might need painting inside. It might just need a good cleaning. You just never know. You can sell your own listings. That's not a, you just got out of school, there's no dual representation. But it is nice though, like now I have a partner, and when we get someone calling to see our listing, she will go show them, and she can become the buyer's agent for someone unrepresented, and then I'm the listing agent side, so that works out good for us.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Just thought about if my wife gets her real estate license now, we don't lose it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Or it's very good to develop friends in here. Where someone will call me and say, Kevin, I've got this unrepresented buyer. Would you take a referral on this and represent them? I mean, they already picked the house out. All I'm going to do is represent them, get the contract through, make sure the loan goes through, make sure the inspection goes through. So that's another way that you can, pick up some extra deals by just being good friends with people that trust you in here. It's easy to get referrals from a buyer. Easy to get referrals from a buyer. Anybody know what an reticular activator is?
Reticular.
Reticular activator.
She's a helicopter mechanic.
I know this.
So that is
Hydraulic
if
mechanic.
all of a sudden, let's say you buy a red Volkswagen,
Oh, yeah.
and then all of a sudden you never even notice a red Volkswagen, and then you get out on the road, you're like, oh, there's one. Well, there's one, and you see one everywhere. And I always tell my people at the consultation meeting that Mr. and Miss Buyer, something that most realtors in the morning are having to do prospecting, which is calling people, circling up with potential people that might come into their sphere. I use my time much more wisely because I work off of referrals. So all I ask you to do is get your ears and listen up, because I guarantee you, while I'm working with you, you're going to hear somebody say, when you're telling them you're looking at a house, they're going to like, I'm getting ready to do that. Who are you using? And just refer me to people that's either a colleague, friend, or family member. That would be of great appreciation. So if people, you have to lay that egg in their mind. No one's going to wake up and say, what can I do for Janet today? They're just not going to do that. So you've got to stay top of mind with people, that when they do hear someone say at the water cooler at work, hey, I was out looking at houses this weekend. We're going to do that next weekend. You got anybody you're using? No. Let me forward you Kevin's name and number. So there's nothing better than getting a phone call. Hey, we're good friends with the Dixons. You were able to help them find a house in Dunwoody, and we're hoping you can do the same for us. So obviously, not only did you do a good job, people are referring you on that. There's less pressure on your performance. When you're a listing agent and you sat down with a seller and said, I need you to do the following things to your house, A, B, C, D, E, and F. when you finish that list, you're gonna be able to list your house for this amount of money, and we're gonna get under contract in 10 days or less, and you're gonna get somewhere between 98% and 100% of your asking price. When that doesn't happen, you think they're happy? And guess what? You don't have a crystal ball. I got a listing. I've listed it twice, and we took it off the market. I mean, this one time was back in '09 when nothing was selling. Put it on the market again summer of '18, and then their house they were buying, they decided not to buy it, so we took it off the market after a month. But I still wasn't getting any hits on it. Real nice house over on Peachtree Dunwoody. Put it on the market last Tuesday, Wednesday. We're under contract by Friday. It just all works out the way you think. And you know, it's one of those things too. I always make a recommendation range when I sit down with a seller. Mr. Seller, you know, we're going to recommend that you list it between 525 and 540. Now, if they go outside of that, I always say, okay, well, we need to really monitor this over the next 2 weeks because you're listing it above the market. And and here again, they may get that. And this is what all the sellers want. I don't want to leave any money on the table, Kevin. Please don't let me leave money on the table. Where they don't realize, well, sometimes if you put it at 525, you're gonna get 2 or 3 offers, and now you're under contract for 534. Where you put it at 540, you may not get anything for a while. Today's buyer is the most informed buyer in the history of real estate.
Absolutely.
There's just too much information that's out there that makes them dangerous. And most of the time, they don't quite understand how to use that information to help them buy a house better. All right, so there's 2 approaches to working with buyers. We have a reactionary and a strategic. Obviously, we want to try to fall in the category of the strategic method. The reactionary agent reacts to incoming calls. Okay? Reacts to incoming calls. Waits for the buyer to call him. Whereas the strategic person creates an incoming referral. Reactionary allows the buyer to dictate the process. Strategic leads the client.
I'm sorry, what was the reactionary?
Allows the buyer to dictate the process.
Okay.
Strategic leads the client. So I will tell you up front, you kind of got to do a combination of this. When I first go out with buyers, I generally let them pick 3 to 5 homes that we go see. I need to kind of understand, even though we sat down with them, they told me what they wanted, they told me where they wanted to see these homes, they told me what was important to them. Until you physically go into a home and walk through it with them and listen to their conversations, it's totally different. You know, they can sit there and tell you, oh no, split levels aren't what we want, and then all of a sudden they send you the list of homes they want to see, and 2 of them are split levels, and then you say, I think well, we didn't really mean this split level, we were really meaning a split foyer. I'm like, okay, that explains everything. But then at some point you have to lead the client, where you've got to tell them up front, hey, Tom and Mary, I'm available Saturday 9 to 12 and Sunday from 11 to 3 to show you homes this weekend. I notice you've put a lot of homes down that you like. Please let me know. All of a sudden you really get a good feel for what they like. You see something, I'll check there's a thing on the FMLS, on the matrix, that are the new listings for the day. I usually check that at noon, 3, and then right before dinner. To make sure I haven't missed anything. Because generally they're not getting those till the next morning. So I'll check them out. If I see one that I really think, ooh, this is perfect for the Thompsons here, I'll send them that one listing and just say, new listing in Parkview High School, or whatever area they're looking at. Or if it's early in the morning, I don't like have a whole lot to do in the afternoon, I will literally go over there and preview it. Call the client up and say, hey, Mary, guess where I am? I don't know. Where are you, Kevin? I'm sitting in the driveway of your new home. What? Where?
That's right.
What?
That's
What?
right.
I mean, all of a sudden, their interest level goes from nothing to a 10.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I've been right many times on that. You know,
I like that line.
create the excitement, get them over there, write the contract if you're under contract. Because you know, let's say you've gone out and seen 8 to 15 homes with somebody, all of a sudden you see one that's better than anything that they've seen, you kind of know this is going to be the one. So, you know, lead the client in the right way. Reactionary person indiscriminately shows homes. Indiscriminately shows home. Strategic institutes a process of elimination. Alright, so a lot of times buyers will, you know, I'll be out with buyers and they will tell me at the end of the day, Kevin, we're sorry we wasted your time. I'm like, you didn't waste my time. Yeah, but we didn't see any that we liked. We didn't see any homes that we liked. I'm like, yeah, but guess what? You were wanting to look at Johns Creek, Alpharetta, and Milton. You just eliminated Johns Creek. There's nothing in here that you like. Yes.
What was the the process of elimination? What was that saying?
Institute
Institute.
a
Thank
process
you.
of elimination and indiscriminately shows homes.
Thank you.
We just eliminated Johns Creek, so we can now just focus on Alpharetta Milton. And they're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I said, yeah. I said, you had this huge area, now we've got it reduced by a third. Another great thing to do is, and I do this for a lot of times for if I get a reload client, you know, all of a sudden they're coming in town, and I got some people from Indianapolis here soon, and they're going to want to, you know, they want to make use of the time that they flew in here to do, and they're going to look at probably anywhere from 10 to over 20 homes in 2 days. So I will get a big folder. I generally give them a clipboard, and I've got a clipboard, and give them, here are the homes that we're going to see today. They've got a pen to be able to write notes on it. And I'll say, when you see a home that you like, I want you to put it in the big envelope. Once we get 3 in there, if all of a sudden you see a 4th that you think you would like, you got to take one of those 3 out. And that way, at the end of the day, we can kind of look at, see which of those 3 they really like. And a lot of times when you go back the next day to just those 3 homes, it just makes sense to people. I thought this one had the great backyard, but I was wrong. It's this other home that had the great backyard. You know, you see more than about 5 homes, it starts getting confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always say, if you're working with somebody, 5 homes is about the most you should see in a day. If they're out of town, then you know, as I said, that changes the rules. All right, the reactionary person trades time, energy, and money for commission checks. Strategic person maximizes the rate of return for each opportunity. Alright, so trades time, energy, and money for commission checks. This is what I was referring to as being a transactional agent. You're not really concerned about what else could happen down the line by taking care of these people. You got them under contract. I mean, I got a friend in the business, and she's no longer in this office. She did over 10 million last year, but I bet you she lost half those people because she was not keeping them happy. She didn't show. It got so bad she didn't show up to several of her closings. They had to just send the check over. And I told her, I said, huh?
What happened? She
What's going on with
just
them?
decided she was.
That when things got tough, and generally this happens during inspections, during walkthroughs, when sellers don't do what they're supposed to do. She didn't know how to handle it, and it just it went south. One of them, they didn't even do a walkthrough, and ended up the buyers found out that there was a water leak, and they didn't find out till after closing. When they went in and saw the hardwood buckled. So you can imagine. I mean, here again, it's like I don't know what you were thinking, but you've got to put these people ahead of everything. And when you do a good job for them, they're happy to refer you.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do that, but I told her, I said, you can't be just thinking about that commission check. It's got to be taking care of these people. I said, how do you not go to a walkthrough? Well, that was vacant. I was like, yeah, but anything can happen. Like right now, it's been cold at night. You got pipes bursting in places.
So Kevin, when I asked my seller to go down the list and do this, that, and the other, and they haven't done it, do I need to go back and have a discussion with them and say, well, hey, we're gonna push the offers back until we get these done, so I can maximize how much you get offered for your home?
Yeah, we're talking about the listing agent. As a listing agent?
Right, I'm the listing agent and I'm selling their home, and they haven't done what I asked them to do. Do I then stop and say, we can't move forward, or do I say, do you wanna move forward as is?
Move forward as is. I got a guy right now. He said, tell me what the price is if I do nothing, if I kind of do some to the kitchen and the thing, and if I did everything on your list. And I told him 425, 450, 465. So they chose the 450 route. So he's doing about half of everything I told him.
And then even after that, we agree that you're not gonna do any further. It's still my responsibility to come back before we have visitors to do a final walkthrough, right?
Absolutely.
I
You
thought
want to
so.
do that for pictures? And yeah. Have y'all had the listing person come in yet? Does that happen?
Mr. Haas, Bill Haas?
Did he do the listings?
Bill Haas was marketing.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah, but she's really referring about listing a house. So I don't know if that's working with
It's all blurred out.
sellers.
Right.
What was it? Yesterday was Bob, and Bob did MLS and
How to show us.
how to show
us
listing.
how- show and sell a house, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sell your listing on 115.
You
But
did.
it was Bill Haas.
So Bill did working with sellers. But anyway, your sellers. The other thing you got to do with them is when they fill out that seller's property disclosure, is you go over it with them. You didn't put. You're not giving them the mailbox. Oh yeah, I forgot that one. I didn't realize you had a refrigerator without a freezer. I don't. Well, you checked it here. So people, they're just over there checking away. They don't know what they're checking.
And make sure, too, on that, I mean, we were told in North Carolina anyway, that we were not allowed to, do not fill that out for your client,
Right.
ever. You know,
You
'cause
can walk them through
you
it
can
and
walk
ask
us
them
through, but I
questions.
just tell them my pen is not allowed to touch that page.
That's right.
You have to fill that out.
But yeah, that's great advice.
Get sued otherwise.
All right, so then the strategic maximizes the rate of return for each opportunity. All right, so I'm going to tell you a couple stories of things, and you got some rookies in here. And you won't hear a lot of agents tell you this, but I don't think it's a bad thing to work with people wanting to rent.
I've got 5 of them.
And I will, pardon?
I got 5 of them right now. God,
Well, I will tell people up
Takes
front,
forever.
I'll show you a maximum of 5 to 7 houses. And then if none of these work, maybe you kind of have to be on your own after that. So, because here again, you're making hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars, and you just can't let them zap your time. But what do runners eventually become?
Buyers.
buyers, and that's the only reason I took them.
Yeah. And so, now the key is to stay in good contact with them. I have several homes I rent for sellers, and I rented one to a girl, and I did a poor job of staying in contact with her. So I called her yesterday to see if she was going to renew. And she said, "Well, I'm trying to negotiate on a house." I said, "Do you have an agent?" She goes, "Nah." And I'm like, if I had called her a month ago, that's a deal I lost out on. So you have to stay on top of mind on that, because they're, all of a sudden they rent, and then, before you blink your eye, it's 9 months later, and that's when you need to contact them. But anyway, my point is that's something when you're new, it allows you to do the business. It allows you to show homes, deal with contracts, deal with a walkthrough, the same thing. So it's good practice. The other thing I would tell you is do not be persuaded that this person's they're not looking at a high enough price for my time. I recruited a girl in here. She came over here from Metro Homes and Metro Homes and Gardens, and she tells me one day, she said, "Kevin, I'm through with these $150,000 buyers. I want to work over here on your side of town, and with the big time buyers." I said, I wouldn't be hesitant for that approach. She goes, "Well, why?" I said, "Well, the last lady that I helped at a smaller price, she was an admin person at Emory University. Helped her find a home for, I think, $110,000 over in Stone Mountain. Convenient for her to get to work. I had to, it's a lot of, not a lot, but it was probably 4 to 6 trips over to Stone Mountain area, which is, trying to cross 285 anytime is a challenge. But we got her under contract, and I only made, $3,000 on the deal. However, about 8 months later, she called me, and I'm thinking, oh, what happened to the house now? It's my first thought. She goes, "Kevin, my boss here
Yes.
is looking for a home over in the Tucker North Lake area, and I'm see if you can help them." And they end up buying something like $515.
Absolutely.
So once again, I tried to make her feel when she was with me, and her transaction was just as important as this buyer over here for $785. And those people will, any person will appreciate it. But that's your challenge, to make each of these people feel as valued as the next person. So you don't want to make it transactional. You want to make it a relationship. All right, so there's 3 elements to a strategic approach, and we're going to kind of go over each of those. The 3 elements are as follows: set the tone, fully engage each buyer, and help your clients make a decision. All right, so let's talk about setting the tone. I want you to write down this acronym, CITO. Now, I've been doing this class for 5 years. No one's ever guessed what CITO stands for. Can anybody think what that might stand for?
Clearly identify target objective.
Well, that's a good one, but
That was good.
Go, girl. And she was quick with it too.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other guesses?
That's a good one. No.
All right.
I mean, that's got to be along those lines, yeah.
Confidence.
All right. So set the tone means come into the office. Come into the office. Now, does that mean coming into Keller Williams? It might. But the bottom line is, if they're serious about buying a home, they'll meet with you for a buyer's consultation. Nobody just runs out and spends $300,000-$400,000 without a plan. So, you know, your office may be like I like to meet people up at Einstein Bagels over there on the corner of Hamden, Peachtree, Dunwoody, a good place. I may meet them for lunch. May meet them. I don't like doing for dinner. You know, one of the ones I had a young couple, and they wanted to meet me for dinner. And first thing they do, they're ordering beers, and I'm like, you know, that's never a good thing. But they were interviewing me among 2 or 3 other agents. By the end of the meeting, they said, "Kevin, we want you to show us a couple of these homes you talked about tomorrow." I said, "What about the other agents?" "Oh, well, screw the other agents. We're not gonna. You're our agent." So, but bottom line is, find some place to do a buyer's consultation, whether it be here at their house. That can work. Breaking bread, getting a cup of coffee, and doing it. You know, when food's involved, you never know how much they're listening, they're eating, and so forth. So that's sometimes difficult. So that sets the tone. And here, if they don't make an appointment, they're not a real buyer. Okay? If they don't make an appointment, they're not a real buyer. Now, the hardest ones that I will tell you is many of you will be taken down the path of trying to buy leads. And, you know, I get that. When you first start in, you're waiting on people to take a chance on you. You never want to let them know you're brand new in the business. You got to figure out when they say, "How long you been in the business?" You got to come up with some catchy approach. So you're my first person. Oh, okay. That's the last thing that you want to tell them.
How did you get your first person?
Pardon?
How did you get your first client?
I had a referral from a headhunter, and she never asked, and you know what you were doing. Yeah. Okay. And so then when you got one deal, and you can kind of, when you talk with buyers, you can, I always say stories sell, and the stories that you bring from one person can work for another person. So anyway, the key thing here is have them make an appointment, and they will be in coming up with a plan. And you're going to see this when I hand out the buyer's consultation. You'll find out that these are important things that you got to go over. It's not something you just say, we'll skip that right there. It's the most money these people are ever going to spend in their lifetime. So, by all means, have your lender pre-qualify them before you meet. Now, I will tell you up front, sometimes that's their homework. because you don't have time. A lot of times, when someone says, "I want to buy a home," and it's Thursday, the worst thing you can do is say, "Oh, why don't I call you on Monday and we'll figure out a time to meet." You nail down an appointment as soon as you can, because believe me, I did this recently where they called me like on a Wednesday, and we could not meet until I could have met on a Thursday, like the next day, but I was like, nah, it's much more convenient for me to meet next Tuesday. So we were going to meet at California Pizza Kitchen over by up on Mansell, and on Monday morning, I sent him a text. Hey, just confirming we're still on for 7:30 tomorrow. Yeah, we're still on. Tuesday morning, she texted me, "We met with another agent last night. We're happy with the person." I was like, and that just taught me right there. All it takes is losing one person that you get these people in as soon as you can. And if it means, like, for instance, you were supposed to go to the movies or something, hey, the movies will still be there the next day. Just make this important. You've chosen this to be your profession. You got to make time for people.
So Kevin, when it comes to inviting customers to meet me here at the office, do I need to reserve an
Yes.
office space ahead of time, or
Yes.
can they just come here?
Now, if it's the weekend, I mean, very few people are here.
Right.
But if it's Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, I would go ahead and reserve a spot. Now, the nice thing you can do is then go make a little post, not a poster, but like a flyer that says, "Welcome, Tom and Mary Chastain," and you put it on the door out front. You put it on the room that they're going to meet in, and now they feel important.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And also, Kevin, just if I could ask, like, when you go out to dinner with someone, are you expected to pay? I mean, it just seems awkward. Like, you're having dinner and you're trying to make a good impression. You can't afford to go really paying for everybody, but at the same time, do you look cheap if you don't offer to pick up their tab?
All right, so a couple things on this. I'll give you two answers. Yes, I will pay. Occasionally, they will say, no, we had you here. And I'll say, oh, okay. But normally, now if they're over there ordering beers and everything, I'm not paying for that. But yeah, I'll pay for their dinner, because once again, I'm showing them I'm investing a little bit with them, and therefore they'll invest their time with me. How many of you here did not get a book from Brad? Did everyone here get a book?
The red book?
I got
Yes.
two. We got two.
Yeah.
I didn't get one.
Did you
That
meet
was a
with
year and a
Brad?
half ago.
Did you meet with Brad? Or did you
I
meet
mean, I
with?
see him in the hall. We've never really sat down
Okay.
face to
Well,
face.
if you were, at some point, Brad generally, Stacy may have met some of you or whoever, but he gives you the MREA book, right? And I bet you there wasn't a whole lot of brokers that gave you anything like that. And I do the same thing with sellers or new buyers. I'll either buy their meal because I'm investing in them, or if it's a new homeowner, first-time homeowner, Gary Keller's got this new homeowner's book, and I generally order 6 to 12 of them at a time. And I hand them that book and say, guys, I'm going to forget something, and this book will help you. The books are $11. So once again, anybody, that couple I mentioned that I met, they ordered the beers and they wanted me the next day, I brought them a book. And it was a done deal after that.
What's the book called?
It's First Time Home Buyer's Guide. But it's by Gary Keller. You have to go into resources, and I think, I always forget how to get to it. Felicia has to tell me how to do it.
On my
So-
KW? On my
It's,
KW?
it's in the regular KW website or something.
Okay.
But I think it's You've got to look under resources, is all I can remember. So anyway, you know, and I realize, you know, it's kind of the price of doing business. What if they decide not to use you? Well, you can still write it off, at least half of it. Does somebody else have a question? I see their hand. Okay. And then, as far as pre-qualifying them before they meet them, that's okay if you don't, because your homework, you know, I always tell people, we're gonna leave the buyer's meeting with a plan of action. And generally, their homework will be, here are 2 lenders, you need to call these people, meet with them, and get pre-approved so we can go out this weekend. Because, you know, a lot of times people live been looking at $400,000 to $500,000 on homes, and then they realize what the payment is, and then they look at how much they got to have down and so forth, and they're like, we decided to keep it at $300,000 to $350,000. Okay, that changes everything. You wanted to live in Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, we're going to have to move somewhere different now because we can't find anything for that price. And then explain your approach. So you said Bob showed you yesterday about how to show homes? Is that what y'all did?
We went out and looked at a house.
Oh, you did?
Field trip. And
Okay.
opened the locker room.
So I always tell people up front, this is the most money you're going to spend in a lifetime. You don't need me following you around that home. You need to have, you know, the space to be able to talk with your spouse, talk with your significant other about it without me hovering over you. You don't need me to tell you this is the kitchen. You know this is the kitchen, you know. But it's so funny when I open a house, some agent all gung-ho come in, hey, this is the kitchen. It's like, you know,
Did the refrigerator and stove not give it away?
yes,
Really?
Right.
please don't insult these people.
Right.
So explain your approach, and I always tell people, look, I'm going to open the door, and I'm going to get out of your way, and I'm going to be looking at things that you're probably not looking at. Like I'm going to go around and look at, see how old the condenser is around the side of the house. I'm going to be looking at the roof. I'm going to be looking at.
You looking at the roof?
Am I?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You get up on the roof?
No. We're from
Okay.
down, you know, from
Oh.
down below. You
You
can
can tell if
count.
it's an old roof.
That's right. If it's shingles or architectural shingles and so forth. I'm gonna be looking up in the ceiling to see if there's any wet spots that are from former leaks. So those are some of the things that I'm gonna be looking at. So if they go upstairs, then I'll go downstairs. I try to stay out of their way. And then the length of time they stay in a home, will make you realize if they like the home or not. Generally, I always say 15 minutes or less, unless this is not, I'm talking about detached homes. Condos and townhomes, you can spend that little time in and see the whole thing. But if they're in a detached home and stay less than 15 minutes, they're probably not that interested. They stay there 15 minutes or longer, we may have a winner there. All right,
Can I add some of that? So, my first buyers, and I've been doing this a while, so so when I got them pre-qualified, I said, look, I have a couple of lenders. Would you mind if I gave them your information, they'll contact you? And that way, you give somebody who's hungry to get your business instead of relying on them to call the darn guy, because they're not gonna do it. Now your guy's gonna call it, and if you got somebody who's not gonna call them, you know, because you're gonna ask your seller, hey, did they contact you? Great, did you go through everything? You know, so get Matt's card or get somebody's card in the office over here, give them that card, and if you have a friend that does it, so I have a cousin that does mortgages, so I put those 2 guys on them. Both of them called, both of them got their information, both of them got a pre-qualified letter, so I mean, you know, that helps. Have somebody else do your work for you, and now your homework's done.
and this is where you're developing your team at this point, because I always tell people, they'll say, oh yeah, I went down, I walked into BOA the other day and I got approved. And I was like, well, let's, I'd like you to get approved with my team, and then after you get under contract, if you want to shop it around, by all means, let's do that. So, this, he mentioned certainty. They're excellent, outstanding. I have one person. He's a former CPA, so he's what I call my economist. He's very good at analyzing second, third, and fourth time home buyers who have done this, who have lots of wealth, to tell them the best way that they should go about spending their money. And then if I have someone who's first time home buyers, I got a different person for that. So it's kind of also, not every lender is going to be good for every one of your clients. You kind of need to think about their personality, their situation to match them up to. That's why it's good to have 2 or 3 people that you start developing with. All right, it's 11:15. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Be back here at 11:25.
I think I missed some of your fill-ins here.
Okay.
You talked about the term.
CEDO, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. See.
I got the CEDO. I got that.
CEDO's coming out.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's what I
Put that
had.
in blank.
Right there. Yeah.
Graham, I got down really pre-qualified, explain the approach and 2 other things. Those are the other 2 blanks I missed.
That last one is explain your approach. Have your lender pre-qualify them before you meet. I don't know. No, I think you got them all. So there's an extra one.
These down here don't, there's nothing down here.
Oh, I'm sorry, there will be one more. We hadn't got to that.
Hadn't got that, okay,
Yeah.
good, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure I didn't miss it.
Yeah, you're good.
Their price of 1185 Kingston Drive. I just need to get access to the house. So I'm trying to see it tomorrow if possible. The owner doesn't have to leave, he can be there. But I got some time in the afternoon. So my number is 770-597-6020. Thank you.
Let me ask your opinion about something. I went to the Cherokee County political Christmas party,
Uh-huh.
and I met 3 ladies. One of them is in charge of, she's the chairman of the thing, and another lady I met, we've become friends. But sitting across the table from me was another woman who wants to sell her $500,000, $600,000 home. And I took all 3 of them, Mammoth, Georgia, pecans from War Nuts for Christmas. And anyway, this lady told me to call her after the first. And I've kind of been in touch, Christmas cards and that kind of thing. And but I'm having a hard time. I need to pick up the phone and just call her, because I've emailed, I've texted her, and
Right.
just no response. Do you know of a good pool guy?
When you say pool guy, do
For
what?
the gunite or whatever you call it, needs to be.
Well,
Put down.
I can give you a pool inspector who can give you recommendations.
Okay.
Jonathan Goa, G-O-E, I believe.
G-O-E,
Yeah.
go,
Let me look up his number here.
pool inspector, okay. You probably know somebody that could do the work.
Yeah, he's at 770-241-9999. 7356, Atlanta Pool Inspection.
Okay, cool, thank you. Anyway, so how would you handle, I don't want to bug her, but yet I don't want her to think I'm dropping the ball. But I know she needed to talk to some pool people. But now's the time, the
Yeah.
mortgages at the lowest rate they've been at seller's market. The old saying, boys will get off the pot.
Well, here again, you got to figure out their motivation, how fast they want to get it done. And, based on that, you might have to make the appointments for them, just to get them going.
Right. I've even helped my sellers paint their cabinets. I do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't find many people doing that.
Oil paint that, it would, at that.
Yeah. But, I think your best bet with the lady who you said I just need to pick up the phone.
Right, I do.
I think your script needs to be, hey, we talked about this, but have you been to her house?
No.
Yeah, you need to say, I'd really like to come over, do a walk through your home, see what we're dealing with, and then come back and 48 hours after that and tell you 3 things. I'm going to tell you, here's where the Cherokee market is.
Uh-huh.
Here's what your home is worth, and here's how we would sell it. But you can't really tell her what it's worth
Without seeing it.
without seeing it. So that's why you have to make it a 2-part appointment.
Okay.
So 7 contracts so far, huh?
That's awesome.
They gave me the scoop.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Did you start in December or is this just January alone?
They were mid-December.
Okay. That's awesome.
And in South Carolina is Janet Johnson, and now I'm Janet Dickinson. It's like I'm dropped off the face of the earth.
I can relate. All right. What's the lady's name?
On the card for you.
All right. So, I could use a cup of coffee. I really could.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I need to go pick up mine. I think she emailed me and let me know that they were
They're
ready.
sitting, where you go by like the little mail room and all those files?
Let's see.
It's in there at the back, on the right side, there's a little table.
Do I have my own special cubby hole?
No, you don't have a cubby hole, but there's a table there
Okay.
where all
Check.
all the new cards are.
Let me check. Hello, non-super lady. How are you?
I got it yesterday.
I need to go through mine. I need to get the cards, the Supra, and the name badge.
Yeah.
All right.
I tell you, commercial and residential, you're tough.
I just got a $6 million option letter this morning.
Really?
That's only half of what we were asking.
$6 million.
It's property on 95.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but it's only half of what we were asking.
Oh, wow. Tony, where did you tell me you live?
Alpharetta.
That's right, yeah.
What about you? Close
Right, right around here.
Oh, that's good, okay.
It's 7 minutes away, 5 to 7 minutes away.
See, I'm so much like what he was describing when I first moved here. We had no clue where we wanted to live. So we started out on the south side because that's where I went to high school. And you could afford so much more on that side of town. So we put in a contract.
Hey Nicole, this is Janet Dickinson. I have an appointment tomorrow that I need to cancel. I have a class that I'm gonna have to take tomorrow during that time. So I will call back to reschedule and get another appointment, but I just wanted to call and take me off the books for tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Now, they always put their water rate down.
I thought about that.
How can I?
I was gonna say, I'm trying to step over, I was gonna swing that. Thank you.
Ours is always.
I want to I rented, but it probably would have like a lot better than but they've never applied.
All I got is my home real estate card.
I was like, they just call you. Yeah. Okay. I could do that again.
Would you like it? To wait by a house.
I understand.
I'm giving that now. If they call that number, I know what they're calling for. But it's funny that I don't know my own number. You have to call it. No, I'm a financial well-being coach. So I help in 3 areas. I help you increase your credit score to 700 better. I help you reduce your debt, and I help increase your savings. But we do first home buyer workshops, and we do money management workshops, and we do credit workshops. And so we also do 8-hour workshops that people need to learn to help them first home. And everything we do to the finance work. So, all right.
How do homes when we're on the cover boards? Yes.
That's a good one.
All right.
We are actually funded by for-profit organizations to help us keep this safe.
All right, Ralph made me realize I thought I'd finished Set the Tone, but I actually left off the last one there, which is paint the picture. Paint the picture. I've got a great story on painting the picture.
Before you get to the story, what was the one before that? I think I missed it.
Explain your
Explain your approach. All right, so on paint the picture. Every one of you, when you do a buyer's consultation, I take a lot of notes, and I like to think about the important things to these buyers, and remember that throughout the process. So, thank you, Ellie. So one of my favorite ones was I was showing, I had a single mom just going through a divorce, had a first or second grade son who was into Scouts. And we were looking at homes in Sandy Springs. And one of them, when you pull up to the carport, behind it had a deck. And the deck had seating all around the exterior of it. And in the middle there was a tree, and then there was a octagon picnic table in the middle of it. And I said, and as we pulled up, before we were going in the side door to the house, I said, Lori, I want you to just envision this. All the kids, the Boy Scouts, are around that round table working on a project, and the parents are all sitting on the bench seating on the around the exterior. And she goes, "You're right." And sure enough, like after we purchased the home, she took a picture of that to send me and say, "There's your vision, Kevin." So you know, things like you're going to find also a lot of people, pets, the fur kids, are way important to these people. Almost where they're buying a home for them more than they are themselves. And when all of a sudden you get a home that's got a nice big backyard that's fenced, you'd say, "Oh my God!" Can you imagine King running around here in the backyard? Can you imagine Fido running around the backyard? All the room in the world. He will think he's died and gone to heaven. So those are some things. And then, also, it could be as simple as someone telling you, I've always really wanted to have a window seat by the window with a cushion right there, and all of a sudden you walk in a home that's got that, and you remind them, they're like, "Oh," it's just as many things as you can remember about that buyer and what's important to them, and you can paint that picture when you see it in a home later on. All right, so number 2, we got to get them started, right? So the first thing, as far as fully engage the buyer, we got to get them started. So generally when we leave that buyer's consultation, our job is to set them up on a email drip campaign. How many of you have been to Matrix 101 and learned how to do that? Is there anyone that would like to see that done?
Yeah, we saw it yesterday. Let's see it again.
Oh, you saw it yesterday?
The auto email save?
With the FMLS?
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he did show us.
Well, good. Okay, well, I will do that before we get into the thing, but yes, I will do that. It's very simple now. We got it set up, very simple. So that's how you get them started. And generally at the buyer's consultation, I'll always say, guys, what are you doing Saturday? What are you doing this weekend? And I'll say, well, that will motivate them to call the lender, get pre-approved, start looking at the listing, and it gets the process to kick off faster. And maybe they can't go this weekend, but this weekend we're going out of town in the mountains. Next weekend is perfect. Great. Let's put it on the calendar, and we'll start that Saturday morning. So get them going, get them started. Next thing is you got to get them looking. And the email drips the first place, but as I mentioned before, out looking at homes is different. Seeing things on pictures it may look great, but then you get there and guess what? They didn't look on Google Earth. And there's a ravine next to it. It's next to the retention pond. It could be next to the electrical power lines that are running behind the house. So there's all kind of things where they think, oh, that's the home. We can't wait till we see 1313 Mockingbird Lane. You know, that's our home. And then they get there and they're like, oh God, I can't believe how bad that house is next to it. You can see how junky it looked. There's no way I could live in that. So that's why you got to get them out there looking. Try to institute daily contact with people. Institute daily contact. Now, it doesn't have to be every day because your email drip's going to take care of you every day. Well, let me tell you what the power of one will do. Once a week, you ought to at least send them one listing that you think fits their criteria. If they're getting listings in the morning, you've got all day to find one that looks good, and you send that to them. Well, they may not be interested, but what does that tell them? It tells them, wow, I'm top of mind with Kevin. He's thinking about me while I'm at work all day. And then that further elevates allegiance to them, to you. So the one email is huge. All right, let's see. All right, so then finally we're trying to help our clients make a decision. So I'm gonna ask Janet here, our veteran. They go back a second time to a house, and now you can kind of tell they're interested. And A on this is get property details. What does that mean, get property details, Janet?
Get the property disclosure, any other documents, surveys. I also would contact, if I think they're gonna potentially write an offer, talk to the listing agent, find out, what's the best closing date, to get all the information that I can on the property.
Right, you want to find out all the things that are important to the owner if you're gonna make an offer. And it's unbelievable to me how listing agents just love to blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're desperate, they'll take anything.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, well, thank you very much. We were going to offer $500, but now it's $475.
Yeah.
So
That happened to me.
I mean, it's amazing how they just, they're so anxious to get a deal done. They're going to give up their, the whole thing. They're supposed to be getting the seller the most amount of money possible. So, but the property details, getting the property disclosures, getting the legal from you can get that from an attorney at Gannett. You email over to Gannett, Paul at Yahoo. That they will send you the legal description for you. You're going to need to send the comps. They're always, am I overpaying for this house? So if it's a big neighborhood, I will just send the neighborhood. Comps, and generally I like to go back. The default on that's 0 to 180 on sold. I generally will go 0 to 365 so they can see everything. And now that this is January the 20th, I will probably go 0 to 385 so they can see everything from January 1st, 2019 to present that they've sold. Because all of a sudden it's listed at 375, and most anything's sold for in the neighborhood is 346. You're like, please explain why you think, help me understand how you came up with this price. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. People are obtuse and they're going to list for whatever they want to list for. So those are the property details that you've got. Yes.
You said email Gannett for legal description. Can you expound upon that? I don't know.
Okay, so on part 2 of the purchase sale agreement, it either fills in by telling you the page number, the deed, all that, or every contract I write, I check this is an exhibit, the legal description.
Uh-huh.
So what they're sending you is the warranty deed that has the legal description that says everything for you.
Gannick is
Gannick's-
Kennedy's attorney.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's our in-house preferred attorney. Now, I've got my own preferred attorney, so I go straight to that person. But for all y'all, Gannick will do that for you for free.
Renee Dillon, right, is the attorney, but
Yeah, she probably would hand it off to Paul Yaku.
Yaku, yeah, he did my closing last month.
Yeah,
Why would you not just get it from Realist?
it's not in Realist.
I mean,
It'll
the
have,
legal description's in there.
nah. I promise you, it's not in Realist.
Okay.
And you have to go to a
Warranty
website
deed.
called GSSSCA.
It's $10 a month.
Yeah, you gotta pay for that. So the law, all the attorneys have memberships in there, or subscriptions. So that's why I go to the attorney. Alright? Alright, so those are the property details. Next thing you gotta do is, once they've been back to a property a second time, and they spend another 30 minutes there, and they're taking measurements, and they're bringing the kids to go see, and they're bringing mom and dad to come look at it, and then at the end of that thing, you say, at some point you got to ask them to buy. Are we ready to take the next step? Are we ready to make an offer at this point? And generally the answer is yes. So,
Ask them to buy.
I will give you a recommendation depending on whether or not, which category. If it's a first-time home buyer, I will tell them, Tom, you and Cindy, I need you to meet me at the office in an hour. Okay? And we're gonna go, and I will have the contracts for you, and we will go over them. Once again, think about it. This is all new to them. Just to electronically send it to people and not really explaining what they're signing, they need to understand kind of what they're doing. So I'll make 3 copies. Here's Cindy's copy, here's Bob's copy, here's Kevin's copy, and we go over the contract. Now, I'm not going that much through pages 2 through 7, but page 1 and the special steps and the exhibits that we're going to be signing, that's where I'm spending the majority of my time. So they fully understand what we're offering and what it means. You know, I still get people who don't understand, what does that mean, seller's closing costs? Are they paying those for me? And you have to kind of explain to them, no, they're not really paying for you. You know, I never tell people this, but never in the history of real estate has a seller paid your closing costs. You're financing your closing costs. Money is cheap. You're just, you know, when you offer $300 and $5,000 in seller paid closing costs, you really just offer $295, and you're financing those $5,000 on the closing side. So, you know, that's confusing to people. I can sit there and explain it to them blue in the face, and they still, well, whatever, I guess I'll sign. You know, the special steps is a chance for you to, you know, make sure that you have them covered. You know, that you've asked, you know, you looked at the disclosure, oh, guess what? The refrigerator is not included. That you put on there, the refrigerator in the kitchen is to be included in the sale of the home. It's on septic tank. You know, we want a clearance letter, and the septic tank emptied. You know, this is the first time, I mean, I've been in real estate 16 years, the first time I've really been working over in Lilburn. Nothing is on sewer over there.
No.
It's unbelievable. Everything is septic tank. You know, that area is enough to keep the septic people employed. So, you know, those are things you need to kind of know to add to your special steps. And, you know, there's a whole mecca of special steps. You know, I've probably got 5. Every one of my contracts is going to have 5 standard ones, like the termite bond, home warranty. You know, are we transferring a termite bond, or are we asking them to purchase a termite bond? You know, those type things. So, so anyway, let's say let's say that contract doesn't go very well. Okay. Well, the second time you do it, you say, now Tom, you and Cindy, we've been through it, nothing's changed. I'm gonna electronically send it to you this time. And then that way they feel more comfortable. At least someone took the time to go over it with them the first time. If it's someone who's bought a second or third time, now if they bought 20, 25 years ago, this whole electronic thing may seem, different too. So you've got to kind of treat them like the first time home buyer. So they bought, in the last, 10, 12 years, they probably did things through the electronic signatures and so forth. And some people, it's amazing to me, you're getting ready to spend $500,000 on this house. And I don't know what I signed. I just signed it. I trust you, Kevin. I'm like, if it was me, I would be reading this thing a lot more cleaner. I saw that you put down the price. Everything else looked good to me. And then, through all this, at any time, as I've said before, you've got to ask for referrals. You can't assume people are going to wake up and say, today's the day I'm going to help Ralph Freeman out. It just doesn't happen. You've got to stay top of mind with these people all the time. All right.
Can you just quickly talk about the timing between trying to sell someone's house and trying to find them a house? That's very stressful.
It is. So she's saying you get the listing under contract first, and now you got to go out and get the buyer or something. So there's really a couple things that you've got to take into account. First of all, you should have already been showing them some homes so they have an idea. Even though they can't buy until they sell, they've got, believe me, they're looking at homes. So but if you wait that long, that's not going to be good unless you can extend that closing, to like 45 days to 60. Then it takes the pressure off of you a little bit. But you kind of have to have a plan A and a plan B. The people I mentioned earlier that I tried to sell their home twice, they're renting an apartment because they were just happy that they sold it. Now we found a home since then, but they're going to do $100,000 worth of work to it before they move in, so they're happy in the apartment. They don't want to let the contractors do whatever they want to do to it.
And they didn't mind moving twice?
No. But that's,
storing their stuff?
That's just something that, and I think what they're going to do is put a lot of stuff in the garage and the basement and have it at the house because they're not doing anything to those rooms. Keep the kitchen and the main rooms clear. So anyway, but it's a fine line, and you don't want to push people. Yeah, you got to make a decision, but you've got to be able to realize I got to show them homes before, so they have an idea, and I need to have a gap between 30 days and generally 2 more weeks. So let's say you got a contract today. Today's the 23rd. Mm-hmm. All right. If you could extend the closing to March 10th, that gives you really to February 10th to find something. So you don't want to make it where all of a sudden you get a contract on that home and it's to close on February 21st. Now all of a sudden, you could make it all work, but unless they've got a home in pocket ready to go, it ain't gonna work. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the buyer's consultation. All right. Tom, you got one, didn't you?
Thank you. Thank you. In the office.
I think I got it next door. All right, let me go make one more copy. All right, now once again, I want to emphasize, this is Kevin's buyer's consultation. Do not think this has to be your consultation. Just use it as a guideline. So we've already gone over CITO, coming to the office. Next thing is first of all, I want them talking a lot more than me. They don't need to hear me talk. However, I'll tell them to hear their story first. How did you guys meet? How long you been together? Tell me about your family, what your kids like, what you do for a living, and find out those things. And then you can tell a little bit about yourself. Once again, you're kind of tiptoeing through the, hey, I just started real estate game. And that's a hard, that's, you know, you got to figure out the best way around that. I don't know what to tell you on that. So you know, tell your story of how you got into real estate and what it made you interested in real estate. You know, the other thing is, even though let's say right now you're hungry for a client, and let's say all your expertise is Milton, Roswell, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Peachtree Corners, and all of a sudden you got people, and the first people get referred to you, they're looking in Henry County. You know, you're not doing them a service by trying to make that work. More than likely, you don't know the schools, you don't know the neighborhoods, you don't know the history, and I would say you probably need to refer that out. And what that means is get it someone from Henry County that can do that. Now there may be some areas that you could do if you have time. Like I've got some people coming in, and they want to be in Peachtree City. Well, when I was a golf coach, I recruited down there. I played golf down there. I've been in all the high schools refereeing basketball. So I've got a good feel for Peachtree City, and I know they're not coming till March. So I'm going to start going down there 1 week in a month and start looking at homes and refamiliarizing myself to that. So, if you've got time, you can do that. Find out what their motivation is. In other words, how quick do they want to buy a home? And believe it or not, guys, I bring the old-fashioned calendar, and I'll say, guys, here's the calendar, here's today, January 23rd. I want you to circle the date that would be your optimal time to move. That right there will signal to you how fast you need to act. Because if they tell you March 1st, you better be out looking this weekend. We're already, here January 23rd, we're you're gonna close the end of February, 1st of March right now. So, you know, then they tell you September 1st, you get them on that email drip, you contact them maybe once every 2 weeks, and then when they get to be about 90 days out, that's when you get them to be more serious, and start showing them stuff and everything. So find out that optimal date. Then I start asking them about the house. Tell me, what does this house look like? You know, and they, you know, what you're trying to find is, are they looking for a 2-story home with a basement? Are they looking for a ranch? Are they looking for a split level? You know, they're looking for a contemporary home, a traditional home. You know, exactly what does it look like? The style. Ask them about the inside. You know, find out what their minimum number of bedrooms they're going to be needing. You know, is this a, do you see yourself buying a fixer-upper? And generally as always, you know, the husband will, oh yeah, I think I could do that. The wife's looking like, yeah, you're not doing that. You know, once again, I mentioned about the fur kids. You know, find out, you know, the pets and whether or not the backyard, how important that is to them, to have a fence back there. Sometimes they, you know, hey, don't worry about that. We can put an electric fence up, or put a, you know, we'll extend the fences on both sides. It's already there. You know, find out about the amenities in the neighborhood. Do they want to swim tennis? You know, if they got young kids, you know, say from ages 3 to 6, you know, the whole swim team thing is a big thing in Atlanta. You know, that might be important to them. They may be tennis people, where being able to, you know, go up there and play Alta in their neighborhood swim team is important. Find out, where is this house? And the worst answer is, just, you know, all over. It really doesn't matter. And a lot of times your price that they can get approved for will dictate where they go. You know, as I said, if they're only approved up to 300, you know, at this point, really, Smyrna and Tucker are the closest things in that they can afford for a detached home. If they want to, you know, all of a sudden now they're at 400 to 500. Now that's opened it up, and now we can look at, you know, we can look at fixer-uppers in Brookhaven. We can look at fixer-uppers in Dunwoody and Sandy Springs, and then when they get over 500, now we can look at some turnkey homes in some of those areas. But here again, you having an idea of what 500,000 will buy me in Cumming and Roswell and Alpharetta, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs. See, it's a different home. The further north you go, the nicer the home is, the newer the home is. But then you got to find out, is that even willing for them to move up to that, to guide them in the right place. I think it's good to find out what they like to do after work. Are they bicycle people? Are they just go to the Lifetime Fitness? Do they go to? Are they foodies? Or, you know, just find out so you can kind of get an idea of what's important to them when they after work. Now here's my favorite little game to play with them. Is I will get a sheet of paper and I'll get it right here, cut it in half, give them each one a copy, and say, okay guys, we're going to play like the old match game right here. I want you to fill in the blank. The biggest wow factor that I will look for when I walk into a home is blank. Go. And I said, and do not answer how you think your spouse wants you to answer. And then, of course, they're, you know, not do it. And then I'll let each of them share their answer with each other. What do you think the woman's going to say?
Kitchen.
Kitchen and
Closets.
open floor plan is the top two. occasionally I'll get a woman that needs to have the great bathtub, you know, that's important to them. The guy, he's generally looking for the man cave, he's looking for the garage and the great yard. So, but it's good for the wife and the husband to hear these things. And as I tell my men, clients, guys, it's good to keep mama happy. You know, that's all I'm gonna say. When you look at this stuff, you need to keep her happy.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
You got it.
It's a work in progress.
All right.
As long as it's progressing.
Now, this part you've kind of got to become a mini loan officer. So I'll say, all right, you guys have indicated that you're looking to spend $400,000 to $500,000. How much are you putting down? 10%. I said, okay. So let's just say on a $400,000 house. You know, right now interest rates hovering around 4%. For every 100,000, that's $475. So you multiply 475 times 3, that's 14 1/4. Take half of that. Now you're at 1675. Add taxes and insurance, and you're up to $2,000. Is that not what you thought you were going to be paying per month? $2,000 a month. Oh, that's a little more. Like, what did you think you were going to pay? Well, like $1,600. I said, well, okay. And you know, we're paying $1,500 for the apartment now. So then you kind of got to explain to them the advantages of home ownership. That you know, their net cost at $2,000 will be about the same as $1,600 a month. You've got to kind of walk them through, you know, closing costs. Here, we're going to try to finance these if you want to, because most people, money's cheap right now. But knowing these numbers in your head is important to be able to rattle these things off. So always know what the rates are, and try to find out what does that equate for every $100,000 they buy.
And where do I find the rates?
Well, generally, they will tell you. I probably get 12 to 15 emails a week from loan officers with today's rates.
Okay.
You also got these guys over here, Certainty.
Certainty can give you that. On Tuesdays, if you come to the meetings, they'll share that today's rates are hovering around 3.75 to 4.
Okay.
And then just knowing that it's approximately just how much per 100,000.
Could you write down how you got those numbers that you were just
Okay,
rattling?
so
Not
for every
rattling.
100,000, it's $475.
$475.
Go back.
$475.
Okay.
All right, so
4% on 400,000.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's approximate. Maybe it's 472 or something. It's just easy for me to multiply. All right, they're going to do a $350,000 loan on 400. So I took 475 times 3 and got 14 1/4. Then I took half of 475, which is a $50,000, and that comes up to 230.
1475 divided by 2 equals
Yeah, 237. So I added that to the 1425 to get 1662.
for the total.
That's your principal
mortgage.
and interest.
Yes. Okay.
So then taxes, you figure they're going to be probably $4,000 a year minimum. So let's just say $350 on top of that, and then the insurance is going to be, let's say, $125 a month. So the only thing I did not include in that is your PMI on that. So, but anyway, that's roughly the $2,000. It comes up to $2,100, whatever it is. Okay.
Okay.
Think you got that? Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. PIT.
Right. Yeah, I got that. Okay. You said on 350,000, 475 times 3.
Right.
What times
300,000.
300,000? Okay, equals 1425.
Right.
1,425.
So we're borrowing not 100,000, but 300,000 plus 50,000. So well, it's kind of like the new math where these kids break it down. And, 20 times, where they do 75 is 20, 20, 20, and then 15 times 5.
Okay, well, you said that equals 1425, but then you said 1475 divided by 2.
1425, and then
1425, okay.
and then I took half of that 475, which is 237.50,
1425, okay.
and I added that to the 1425, because that makes it now $350,000. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a tech grad, and numbers are easy for me.
Well, I'm a full chart. They're easy for me too, but
Yeah.
It's a cool way to do it. I've never had
I gotta see the math.
just break it down like that.
Yeah.
It's a great
Napkin
thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
But if you can also use a mortgage calculator online.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
Let's see.
$350,000 mortgage. We're going to take for every 100,000
Equals 475.
equals 475. So we're going to multiply. I mean, I could multiply that times 3.5, but for me it was easy in my head to do it where it's now 1425, and then I took half of that to give me 237 right there. So now I'm at 12, 6, 1662. I added 350 for taxes. Now I'm at 2012. I added 125 for insurance. Now I'm at 2137. Okay? All right, OOC costs. Here's another thing you gotta tell people, because they're saying, "Oh, I've got 10% saved up. I'm ready to go." And I'll say, "Okay, well, there's some out of closing costs." I said, "Now those 10%, we'll need those on the day of closing, but before that, you're gonna need to pay for 2 things." Janet, what are they?
Appraisal.
Appraisal.
And inspection.
Inspection. So probably about $450 to $500 for an inspection, and appraisals will run $400 to $450 right there. Appraisal, they'll always take a credit card. A lot of these inspectors won't. They want to check. But you got it. But other than that, there's really no other cost associated with until you get to closing.
Oh, down payment, I mean.
Your earnest money.
Earnest money, yeah.
Your 1% earnest money. But that's really just paying part of the 10% early. All right. Talk about a little bit about your role, and that meaning your role. I'm the buyer. I'm your buyer's agent. My job is to get you the home for the lowest price possible, and I am free to you. Did you hear me? I'm free to you, and the seller will pay my commission, and there's never a chance that you will have to pay. Now, skipping ahead to the BBA, I never in my life have ever had anyone sign a buyer's brokerage agreement at the buyer's consultation. And I realize, I guarantee you, every one of your classes told you don't get in the car without that BB&A sign, right?
No.
Think about this. Think about you. If someone shoved a contract and said, sign this before, I'd be like, whoa, I'll take this home and read it.
Take to my attorney.
Yeah, but you're not going to sign it. I just think it's better. Let them see you in action. Let them see that you are working on their behalf, and then at some point, things move on. You can say, hey, for me to continue working on your behalf, we need to sign the buyer's brokerage agreement. And you probably have already, you remember I told you this on the consultation, but now's our chance to sign it. Now, there's a section in that buyer's brokerage agreement that says that if you're not paid 3%, the buyer will or will not make up the difference. Everyone familiar with that? Do not put that they will make up the difference. That's the quickest way to lose your buyer. And the reason being is your buyer cannot help what the commission is the home they choose. That's just the luck of the draw. And I will tell you that if you sell 10 homes this year as buyer's agents, probably 9 of them will have 3%. There may be one that says 2.5. And you know, you just suck it up and once again kind of realize that it's not about me, it's about my buyer. All right. Janet, did you not agree with that?
Totally.
Oh, you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got something else that
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, so I've been taking buyers around, this is the first time I've ever done this. But I told the wife, I said, Alyssa, would you do me a favor and keep notes on each property? And I'm gonna tell you the notes I want you to have. So when we're ready to make the offer, you can remind me of what needs to be on there. And so I tell her now the AC is old, the roof is old. And so I'm looking for defects, they're looking to make sure they like the house. And so I said, just keep notes in your phone, and then if we're ready to make an offer on this house, I need you to tell me what those notes are. Because we're gonna, and that way she feels like she's part of the process and we're kind of a team, and so that just something that I did and I
That's great.
felt right.
That's absolutely great because, and remember I said I'd generally give them a clipboard with the houses that we're going to see, so they can take notes, and I always provide a pen. And that same thing, where they can write the notes on there, because believe me, there's one of the spouses will be
Suspect.
very type A personality, and they're.
And she was, he wasn't. I knew that.
Right. Where one person will be the big picture guy. So that's a great thing to do.
I used to give people like a couple clipboards. One, and I say to the buyers, which one wants to be the navigator in the front seat with me, who's good at maps, so that I can keep my eye on the road where we're going if we've got to, figure out directions. And then the other person, who's the type A person, is the note taker.
Right.
And on their clipboard, I give them, for each listing, I'm going to number the listings that we're going to see and then number it there, and I want them to write down their feedback.
Yeah.
So that I have the feedback, because I'm going to have to provide that to the seller. And that
Well, that's
also
all
helps
good.
me see them slowly eliminating homes.
And so once again, remember I said at the beginning about the Rolodex, and you like something you hear, you stick it in the Rolodex. Janet's got something good, maybe right there, you stick it in your Rolodex on that. Because it's, you think all of a sudden you're going to remember all this. What happens if you got 3, 4, 5 buyers at once?
Yeah.
All of a sudden people are calling us saying, yeah, you showed my property over on Merganser. I'm like, Merganser? I don't know where that is.
I used to use a forum called The Good, Bad, and Ugly in Texas.
Wow.
And it's very colorful.
Yeah.
You share that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
All right, so anyway, my advice to you is do not sign that BB&A at the first time you meet these people. It's just going to scare them off.
Same with the listing agreement
No, listing agreement you got to.
or the second meeting?
Second
listing
meeting,
agreement?
yes. I mean, at some point, now once you know you have the listing, and I already spent $275 on pictures, I got to sign, I got to post. I'm waiting for her to sign that today so I can get it in the computer. But I'm not worried about it, she'll sign it. All right, the KW app. So this is new. I personally don't use it, but I would encourage all y'all to use it. And once again, even if they don't use it, it's something to show your value to the buyer. All of a sudden they're, you've given them something that no one else has access to. Because nowadays you can literally, any property you pull up to, you can put it in Google, and you get Zillow and 2 or 3 other companies, Redfin and everybody else that's telling you how much the cost of it is. But so here again, it looks like you're doing something special for them. That's the same thing with the portal that you create. All right. First of all, the open hoses that you're going to be going to in new construction. As I told you before, I tell people up front, I want you to go to see new construction. I want you to go to open houses. But remember, here are 5 of my cards. When they ask you who your agent is, you're giving them this card. You build your business off of trust and loyalty, and you won't have to worry about losing these people. And then we finally end up with, what's your homework? Generally my homework's to set up the email drips. Their homework is to start looking at homes and call the lender to get pre-approved so we can go out this weekend or whenever we start going out. So anyway, those are my topics to be covered. I guarantee you, if I brought in 10 other agents, they could add things to this. So this is not an exhaustive list. And I'm sure, as I said, that you all can add your personalities into how all the things that are covered. But to me, these are kind of the key factors. Obviously, I'm probably the only person, if we brought in 10 agents, that would have does that little wow factor, little match game thing. Yeah, but here again, I try to make it fun and interesting for people and not just kind of dulling out there. Okay. Any questions on the consultation? Critical. All right. I'm going to take you through the transaction from the beginning to the start, but before I do that, get your laptops out, and I will go over very quickly one more time how to set someone up on an email drip.
Thank you.
All right. Is everybody to this page? Am I waiting on anybody?
No.
All right. Go down to matrix and go hit matrix. All right. This kind of gives you a little snapshot of what's going on. Remember I told you about that? You can look under the new listings right here if you want to see. There's 200 new listings that have been added today.
Wow.
There's been 99 that have had price decreases and 38 back on the market.
So how do you don't want to look at all 200, so say if you just want the ones in Alpharetta, how do you search for that?
All right, so I click on that. Do you know off the top of my head, Alpharetta's 13 and 14, right?
I think, yeah.
So I hit click on that, and now look where it led me to. It starts with 13,
Okay, cool, thank
goes
you.
to 14. So I only have to look at those. All right.
Where did you click on 13 and 14? Area.
You need to be familiar with the areas of town that are coded. 400 divides North Fulton. 13 is west. 14 is east.
Jones Creek, yeah.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got to go in and add my new person. So I hit contacts. Okay.
Could you do that again, please? I had my head down.
All right. Once again, I'm going to my matrix.
Okay.
I'm going to hit contacts. Okay. And I'm going to add someone. All right. Right here. Add a person. So I'm going to be putting in Kevin Probst and Kevin P at yahoo.com. And I hit save. Okay, there we got that. You add a person. Now you go in and just do a regular search. So I'm gonna go search residential. And Kevin has told me that he's interested in Dunwoody, only the good elementary schools. So that's Austin, Vanderlyn, and Dunwoody Elementary School. And he's looking 5 to 750. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna hit County DeKalb. I'm gonna go to elementary school. And I'm gonna add Austin. I'm gonna add Dunwoody. And I'm gonna add Vanderlyn. And then Austin. Dunwoody.
Okay, so you get the add button over there on Austin.
And Vanderlyn. Alright, and then that's gonna be okay. Alright, everybody know that DeKalb. See, if you don't put DeKalb, it'll give you every elementary school in all of Atlanta. You're scrolling through them forever. But this way, if I know DeKalb, it's only sending me through them. Alright, price over here. 500 to 750. Okay? Alright, that's all he really cared about. He said he was open to anything else. And so I'm going to go ahead and have it search.
Quick question for you, Kevin.
Yeah.
So instead of doing 500 to 750, I would do like 775 minus, and then kind of filter out and see what's in there.
So
what are your thoughts on that?
Well, now he may have said, yeah, so what he's saying is you could get a $750,000 house, but it could be listed for $775,000. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
But then you're gonna get a lot of 100,000, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but I mean, you just take those out, click the ones you want, and then save the search.
All right, so there's 19 matches, and there's my results right there. All right, so I'm going to hit all. Click them all. And here's the key, make sure you do this. You're going to save. Okay? Actions, save. Actions, refine, save. And then I'm going to go straight diagonal down to new automatic email. All right, so I've got a search saved. Now I got to match it up to my client. So I look down here. I'm going to match it up to Kevin Probst. All right, subject Dunwoody Actives. And then here's some things that I have to make a decision on. All right, first thing you do, see that signature right there? You can edit that to anything you want to. See, it says edit your signature right there. I personally, I'm a casual guy, so I like the font Comic Sans. And it's just, to me, very easy to read. And all right. Now, do I want to receive a copy of all these? Yes, I do. I want to kind of keep up with what's out there myself. And then I have to decide if I'm going to get it at between 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning, or the minute it's listed, it would send me an email. But I might get like 4 or 5 or 6 emails a day. So it depends on the urgency of the person. And then you just hit save, and it's done. That's simple. All right, if you don't get that, I will tell you up front, guys, we're here to help you. And a lot of times, I get agents from other offices who, I'm just amazed at how open everybody is here to trying to help me. Where I came from, everyone's hiding things and they're not sharing information. So just so you understand the way the whole Keller Williams culture is, it's here. The only way I can make more money in profit sharing is to make you all better. Because if there's more profit for the office, when people under me sell something, that brings me more money. So there's enough here for everybody. And I don't know why people don't take this philosophy. So you'll never have a Keller Williams agent not want to sit down with you, help you, and share. Every one of you have someone you identify as your sponsor. They should be. I mean, all my people, I check in with them once a month at least. I called them all right after Thanksgiving and said, you need to go make an appointment with Stacy and Brad and share your goals for next year. Just to keep them thinking, I've got the luxury of having done this for 16 years. I want to share that with the people under me. So anyway, if your sponsor is not your sponsor somewhere else, then just realize that, come see me. I'll be glad to help you. All right, so I'm going to take you through the transaction now. All right, so we're working with buyers. And the first thing we got to do is, where do we get buyers? Have y'all had the lead generation class? Yes.
What was that? I might not have been here.
And what were some of the ideas about where to get buyers? And
Calling, make calls, family.
The doctor, the dentist.
family, social media.
Everywhere I go, I tell people
Yeah.
I'm expanding my business. Do they know anybody?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
If you started your business, first of all, I would say the biggest mistake a lot of people don't, when they get in the business, they don't concentrate on their database. Your database is your gold mine. And so, you've got to let that database know that you're in real estate now. They don't know that. Maybe a handful know that. So when they think of real estate, they think of you. But probably the biggest place I can tell you where, I'll give Amisha Mason credit. She moved here from California and didn't know a soul in Atlanta and started doing open houses. And Amisha is very successful, usually makes 300 plus a year with her business. And as I said, literally, I'm going to say 5 years ago, didn't know a soul in Atlanta. So open houses is generally one of the best places you can get buyers from. The other thing I will tell you up front, if you have kids, church, teams you're on, softball, tennis, all those places you're out there where people can see you, and it's good for everything. And I'm going to give you a little hint on a couple things. When I do an open house, I have business cards in this pocket right here, and I've got some different business cards in my left pocket. You're going to know right off the bat. This is like speed dating. You're going to know real quick whether or not you've kind of connected with somebody. I like to call it the 6th degree of separation. You've got to figure out how to get the trust of that person in 5 to 10 minutes. And there's going to be some people who, they're standoffish. there's no way when they walk out that door I'm ever seeing them again. Well, and you know, to the people who I feel like I have a connection with, I hand them my business card. I've got their information down in my tablet where they signed in, and I will follow up with them on Monday. These other people, I'm handing them a card, and I say, well, I appreciate you coming to my open house, and anyone who comes to my open house is eligible for the 1% give back program. What's that? I'll say, well, this is the price range you said you were looking for, $500,000, and they'll go, yeah. I said, well, would it be easier if I gave you $5,000 to help you buy this house? And now they're really looking at me strange. I say, I can't technically give you $5,000, but I can give you a realtor credit at closing for $5,000 towards your closing costs, which is $5,000 in your pocket. And they go, oh, really? I say, yeah, there's not a lot of realtors doing this. Once again, my theory is I'd rather have 2% of something than 100% of nothing. And generally, 2 to 4 deals a year. I just closed a guy in November, $550,000 home. I walked away with a nice $11,000 commission check. He got $5,500 towards his closing costs. It was a win-win for all.
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh yeah.
So that's legal. Okay.
Totally legal. Yeah, realtor credit. Now it's not legal for you to hand them a check.
Right.
But as long as it's up is on the closing statement, you may do that. So
And you call it a realtor credit on the HUD?
yeah, buyer credit, whatever you want to put it, realtor credit for the buyer, and I put it on the commission agreement. All right, so that's my tip for you on open houses.
Kevin, how did you word it on the card?
On the back of it, just says 1% give back program. I've written that on that already.
Those are the ones that are standoffish, that you don't have
Right.
a good fuzzy feeling about.
Right, but I feel like
Smart.
if I gave them a little nudge, I might could get them, but I ain't getting them without that nudge. All right, I don't like that. Let's go try this red. All right, so once we get buyers, then we've already talked about. First thing we're going to do is do our buyer's consultation. And I should have this flow chart by now on paper, and I don't. So a lot of times people come here and take a picture of this at the end of the thing, because it's kind of hard to read my writing until you get there. Buyer's consultation. At some point, you're going to get the BBA signed, buyer brokerage agreement, and then you're going to have the homework. And for the buyer, pre-qual. For the agent, setup drip. All right, now we start to show homes. And then they start to narrow their search down. And we're getting down to 1 to 2 homes. And now they've made a selection. And now they want to write an offer. All right, so we've kind of talked about a couple things. Janet told us that, remember, before we make an offer, we got to get docs and we got to do some preliminary stuff. generally, when they get down to, they narrow it down to one or two, I'm sending them the comps for those one or two homes. I'm sending them the disclosures for those one or two homes. So that way, nothing's new when they say, let's make an offer. They know, hey, we're making an offer on this 1974 home, but the heating and airs are brand new, and the roof is 3 years old. So now they feel comfortable moving forward with that. So they're going to write an offer. We've asked for the disclosures, and remember I told you about whether or not you come into the office depends if they're first time or veterans. So you got a strategy for first time people and veterans. And I don't mean from the war. I mean second time home buyers. Here we gotta get the comps, we gotta get the disclosures. And when I say disclosures, what are we
Seller's disclosure?
referring to? The seller's property disclosure, what else?
Community association,
Community association disclosure.
lead-based paint,
The what?
lead-based paint.
And lead-based paint if it was built 78 or under.
All disclosures, yeah.
So you get those three as a minimum. All right, so there's some, when you write this offer, there's also some minimum things that you're going to include with your offer. Because I know, some of you rookies, you're gonna all of a sudden panic, oh my God, what do I do? Stacy, help me. So, over here, you've got to have the purchase and sale agreement. You have to have the disclosures. You have to tell the seller how they're buying it financially. So you're either going to need a financing or FHA or VA or what else?
Cash.
All cash. Okay. If they're going to take possession not at closing, what do you got to have?
Rent back or?
The temporary occupancy agreement. Okay, if they're taking control at closing, you don't need that. So these are some minimum things you need to do. Keller Williams also wants you to do a wire fraud disclosure and a affiliated business disclosure. It's good to just go ahead and get them to sign everything up front. Now I will remind them, because to me, you sign a wire fraud and then now you're closing 35 days later, you've forgotten about that. And the wire fraud is critical. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to negotiate. This could take a matter of hours up until many days. Just depends on how far. I've literally sent over an offer. I've shown a house at 3 o'clock, went back, wrote the offer up, sent it to the agent, and we're under contract by 6:30 that night. Now here again, we gave them exactly what they wanted, full price offer, no closing costs, basic things in there. But home's been out there for 90 days. It's overpriced. You know it's overpriced. No one wants to overpay. It's listed at $500. You offer $440. It may take you a long time to get all the way to an agreement. When you get down to the point where you're not arguing about anything but money, I'll pick up the phone and call the agent and say, look, if we want to expedite this, are you okay verbal on this? Most people are, some aren't. And that's fine. We'll go ahead and continue sitting, going up 5,000, 3,000 until we come to an agreement. So then all of a sudden we're under the magic that we're now under contract. glorious day. All right, and then, so we're under contract today. What starts tomorrow?
Due
Due
diligence.
diligence. And what else? Your financing days. So, just so you get an understanding, due diligence, anywhere from 7 to 14 days, with 10 being the norm. Due diligence, financing, be anywhere from 18 to 25 days, with 21 to 23 the norm. Okay? So you get two different things happening, but they're happening simultaneously. So think about it. She said, I have 7 things under contract. You don't think I got a calendar with all this stuff on it? I got to go over it every day? Because the last thing you won't see happen is for financing to be up and realize, wait, we didn't get the appraisal back. And all of a sudden, the appraisal comes back low, and they're looking at me like, Kevin, what the hell's going on? So, anyway, during the due diligence, you're having your inspection, and I say inspections. It's your time in the house. The contract says during due diligence, you have the right to be in that house during normal hours, which I define that as 9 to 6, and with advance notice. The seller should not be telling you cannot come to the house. Now, if you're asking to come at 7:30 in the morning, you're coming during dinner time at 8 at night, that's an issue. That could be an issue. But for the most part, you've got that, you have that. So, we do a regular inspection. A lot of people are doing radon inspections now. And then you might have to, the inspector may say, I don't feel real comfortable at the HVAC, then you gotta get an HVAC inspection. So on septic tank, you gotta get a septic inspection. So there's all kind of things that you gotta do, but during this time, you are negotiating again. You're negotiating the inspection. In today's world, we kind of like to have the buyer and the new owner control the repairs by just coming up with a dollar amount. However, let's say you ask for the max closing cost up on the upfront. Now they're going to have to do the repairs, and that a seller is going to want to try to do the repairs the cheapest way out. The buyer is want to do it right, and this can sometimes cause a conflict. All right, so let's say you get through the due diligence and you get through the inspection. Now you have a second thing that you may have to negotiate, and that's the appraisal. All right, so you're under contract. It was listed for 300. You had to offer 315, and that didn't appraise. Well, if it's this spring, the seller just say, that's okay. I'm happy where I am, and if you don't buy it, somebody else will, and someone will. You're only putting 5% down, and the next person may be putting 20% down, where they, they may not even need an appraisal. So these are things that you have to negotiate. A lot of times, let's say it's appraised for 305. You're on a contract for 315, and you ask your buyers, "Do you guys have an extra $5,000?" You got $5,000. That's all we got. And you go back to the seller and say, "Look, we'll agree to 310. We can come up with $5,000 extra. Can you guys live with that?" Most of the time, they were already invested 3 weeks into this deal. They're going to go ahead and do it. All right. Now, during this time, when you get through the due diligence, you got to be working with 2 people very closely. Who are they?
Lender?
working with the lender, and who else? The closing attorneys. All right. So your lender, you've got to tell your buyers, guys, buying in 2020, every time you think you've given them the last document, you haven't. They're going to keep asking and asking and asking, where at some point you're going to say this isn't worth it. But guys, they're just doing their jobs because they've got to sell your loan to Fannie Mae, and this is the requirements they've got to do. But and then your closing attorneys, you know, they're going to ask, hey, we need the commission agreement. Hey, we need that termite bond. We need the buyer's information sheet. We're going to need, we need you guys to pick a closing time out. So these are all things that you need to be in contact with. And that's why you need to get to know these people. So when you need a favor, you can pick up the phone and call them where you're just not some random person calling. So during that time, and all of a sudden now, the lenders told us the 3 greatest words a realtor can hear. What are they? Clear to close.
Oh, clear to close.
So we can schedule now the walkthrough. And from there, we go to the closing table. All right, the walkthrough, I try to do that unless my closing's at 9 a.m. I'm going to do that the day of closing. Why would it be important to do it the day of closing? You're not allowed to answer, Jan.
In case something happens to the house
Yeah.
that you weren't aware of.
Right. So literally, what if there was a rainstorm the night before and you got to the house and there's water in the basement? Not good.
Or trees on the house.
But let's say you showed up there on Saturday and everything looked good and you're closing on Monday. Well, 48 hours has passed. So you need to go as the closest you can to the closing time. Because, you know, like Tom said, a tree could fall. You know, literally.
Fire could be.
So many things.
Well, I got an email from my roofer, and he said last Saturday there was a bad storm in my area. Now they all want to check the roofs, so we can all get free roofs now.
Sure.
Well, also, the seller may not have moved out.
Yeah. And you
Or
may be
cleaned up the house right.
you may be check. You need to check on the repairs. You need to be checking on. Make sure they did the repairs. Make sure. Remember, we wrote down that they were supposed to leave that refrigerator in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It better be there, because I believe me, that's one that I've had several times where we showed up and like, where the hell's the refrigerator? Call the agent out there and like, it's already on the van to Florida. What are you gonna do about that? And I guess I'm writing you a check for $1,500. It's like, okay, well, that's a good start. It wasn't a new refrigerator.
Am I taking the walkthrough alone or with my buyer?
Well, your buyer.
Okay.
It's more important for the buyer, but you're there to kind of guide them to make sure and remind them. So remember I talked to you about negotiating that inspection list?
Yes.
A lot of times you got to go through that. You've got receipts ahead of time, but you want to see it. You know, especially now some of the stuff, if it's up, you know, up in some crawl space or something, I'm not going to crawl under there unless now they might want to, but normally they don't. Nobody wants to go to the crawl space. But for the most part, you know, if it's replace fixture, replace this, repair this, you can see if they've got repaired and so forth. And it's key to get your receipts with what on it? The name of the vendor. Because if after closing something should go wrong, they have a resource to go call. Versus just like, well, I see this, you know, this got fixed, but I never got a receipt for it, but it was fixed. I saw it was. So anyway, I've tried to sum all this up in 3 hours. You know, it's hard to do that in 3 hours. Any questions about anything we've covered today?
I have a question.
Well, she had her hand first.
Okay, so if you're doing the walkthrough and it's the, 11th hour, closing is in an hour, in some cases the seller may have already closed a day earlier or something, and things just aren't right, which happened to me, that's why I'm asking the question. What are our choices? Can we just simply say, look, this is not up to snuff, we're gonna walk?
Well,
you really can't, because that'd be breach of contract, right?
well, you're representing the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you have a couple choices. One is to call the listing agent. Find out, hey, what gives here? Many of these things haven't been corrected. We asked for it to be cleaned at closing by a professional cleaner. There's stuff everywhere. Then there's a couple options. The worst thing you can do is close. You lose all leverage. You can push the closing back later in the day. You might have to push it back a whole day, realizing, hey, we've got people in trucks getting ready to get in here. And the seller you may have to negotiate they have to pay for a night on the truck for your buyer where your stuff is stored. So there's a lot of options, but the worst thing to do is just say, we'll close and we'll figure it out. You got to come up with a solution in writing. That agent calling you, hey, you guys come back tomorrow, it'll be all cleaned up. You have things in place in writing. Brad wants to add something.
Brad finding the diamond.
Can I interrupt 1 second?
Yeah.
So, just this is on win the buyer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you've already gone over this, maybe not. What would you say are the 3 top traits or skills to win the buyer of a person?
Listening to what they want.
Okay. What
Yes,
would be
me?
your answer, Kevin?
Top 3 traits.
That you would go, this agent has these 3, they're probably going to do pretty well with buyers.
Oh.
First of all, I left out one thing because we generally talk about riding around with people, that you have to be on for 2 to 3 to 4. You can't all of a sudden just say, between these next houses, can we just not talk about anything? So I always tell people, think about the word forward. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you can steer the conversation to those 4 areas, back to a buyer, you don't have to talk at all. They will talk the whole time about those 4 topics. So I guess one of them, obviously, Brad, is being able to connect personally with people.
Right. That's a good one.
2, to analyze their needs and be able to be a solution giver.
Good one.
And then 3, negotiate the deal. I'm sure there's others. There's probably no wrong
Okay,
answers.
so you and I have talked of one other you didn't say. Jan?
Educate them. So they know that, do some education, so they know that you understand the market and that.
Knowledge.
And knowledge.
Yep, that's a good one.
Not the one he's looking for.
Talk about speed of communication. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to find out very quickly, are they calling the phone person, are they a text person, which way they prefer their communication. But and then you've got to emphasize to people when in this market that we're getting ready to be in spring, you see something on Tuesday, you can't wait till Saturday to go see it. You got to drop what you're doing, go look at it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, what you and I talked about. Just your speed of response to your own client.
Oh yeah, so Brad's gonna let me do my little, I've actually come up with not an acronym, but a motto. The best ability is availability. Your response time between when they ask for something is critical. Like I haven't been on the text for an hour and a half, and I'm sure there's people that are going, what the hell, did Kevin die? But generally, I'm going to respond within, seconds, if not a long time for me might be 3 minutes.
If you're not doing something, you're going to respond.
Yeah.
Right. And what's the first thing you're going to do when you get out of this meeting?
I'm going to check to see if I got any messages that where I might have a referral.
Yeah. So again, I think this is a very important point, and it's just business in this day and age. Truly, you're considered a professional just if you respond fast. You can actually know nothing and be completely unlikable. Seriously, if you respond fast, people love that, right?
Yeah.
So just remember that is a key piece to this, and you're always having to gauge. Yes, we're in meetings when we're showing property we can't show, and we know the first thing we do when we get out is we check, and we're going through to see what needs to be. But it's amazing. You're a professional with your speed of response. And you and I were giving examples. Remember, you were talking about somebody. I can't remember who, and you went, what are they doing? Like, I mean, I've had it where I've literally just walked up to someone and said, hey, this is a referral from Utah. They need to, they need you to call them, and they're coming in to look this weekend, and then that's at 10 o'clock. And I'll run into that same person at 4 and go, you set up, and they go, I haven't called them yet.
Oh, wow.
It's like, what? I mean, the minute somebody is a referral or indicates they want to do business, goes to the top of the list, practically.
Yeah, I mean, you're like it's almost like if you watch Seinfeld when George had the fire incident and he's pushing people down to get through there.
Exactly. Okay. All good. Listen to this guy. He's very, very good.
Janet, you had a question.
I did. On expiration of offer in this, fast market, what do you put in your offer?
I'll always put 24 hours if I'm either the first in or there's no other offers that they're expecting. You give 24 hours, then you start kind of reducing it. They generally give me 24 hours back the first time because I always say your first offer should be representative of the best situation for your buyer. When he counters, the owner's countering, here's the best representation for me as a seller. And I always say the second counter offers are the most important ones because then at that point we're all kind of, I can live with that. Yeah, I can live with that. But if it's a expected multiple offer situation, it almost doesn't matter if they're expecting more offers because they're going to wait anyway. But I had an offer I put in there, sent it last Friday. I knew this house. It was in Gwinnett, price point that it's hot, but it's funny. The house was killer inside, but it was not. It kind of a vinyl house with not a lot of windows, and I guess people just didn't look at it. So I got the offer in at 6 o'clock, and I made it at 1 the next day. And sure enough, they countered, just one little thing on the contract. We accepted it, and we were in the contract by 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. So you gotta act quick and kind of know what the market's doing and anticipate things. Any other questions, Karen?
At what point does the seller move out? Because I thought they moved out after the closing.
It's all negotiable. It's all negotiable.
Because if they move out before the closing, it doesn't close.
That's a risk the seller has to take. But if it's vacant, obviously it's going to be at closing.
Okay.
If it's not vacant, I try to allow my sellers to stay in it at least till midnight that night, and worst case midnight the following day. Because you're right, it's a hassle. But a lot of buyers they want to get it at closing, and I don't want you back in my house that I own for 24 hours. So it's all negotiable.
R and Ford means what?
What now?
The R and Ford.
Oh,
Family
recreation.
occupation, recreation, okay.
Dreams.
Do you
Got that.
normally
Thank
tell
you.
your seller to, like, you know, we're under contract, but don't start packing until we get to this due diligence period and
Yes,
financing?
or don't go getting these repairs done until we agree on something. You know,
Yeah.
some of them are so gung ho. I already got that fixed. Well, we hadn't even agreed upon it. You know.
We said to get, things in writing, you know, some repairs weren't done or whatever before the closing. Is a text message acceptable as in writing?
No.
How would it need to be?
An amendment.
An email?
An amendment. I mean, an email, you're not signing on both parties agreeing. So, yeah, it's gotta be something where both parties have signed in writing and agreed to. That's something that's ever enforceable you know, if something should go awry. All right, I appreciate your time. Good luck. Please, my office is in the back corner back there, and I'm more than happy to help you in anything that I can help you with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's a great.
It's all great place, right?
Oh, okay.
Recognize that.
You want to rip it.
Take a picture of that chart too, because I couldn't see it from the back.
Hey, y'all did your photo too?
He said he did his out front, I didn't do mine.
Oh, okay. Just with your own phone?
No, I guess somebody was supposed to take it out there when he came in, but no one's in the building.
That?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I do.
So they do professional photos too?
Yeah.
Did they let you know next time you do that?
How about email last night?
Oh, wow.
It was last night.
Was that the director of First Impressions? Was that the director of First Impressions?
No, it actually came on Stacy's.
Oh, wow. All right. I'm gonna go.
It's okay. How are you? She'll take your picture. We just take the pictures so they know who we are. When we come in.
Well, so I'm just taking a education class. That's what I just finished up. Kind of wrapping up all my stuff.
You too.
Putting everything back in my book bag.
Did they charge anything?
No. Rochelle, are you gonna go and look at the computers again after this letter? I can. Were you planning on doing that?
Yes.
2:30 with.
Okay.
You're a professional.
Coach.
Okay.
Coach first.
Really? Yeah, I do need to pick your brain. I do. So, I do lots of questions. Okay, well, let's get it. Let's,
I'll be back over there.
Okay, in our other office?
Yeah.
Everybody at my job is sniffing.
Very good one.
I know that's right. Hey, Rochelle.
So how long have you been researching?
I'll bring you on Monday, because she just, asked
All right,
me,
Tom.
I didn't have any, but I'll bring you Monday. You know something? Who was that?
Karen Johnston.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Captive Audience too.
Okay.
You've been doing this.
All right, and I
Do you
do.
have sessions that I could sit in on, see how your whole situation works?
We do have them, and, but I'm actually geared towards Atlanta Public Schools, so I just work with them. But I do have coaches that graduate, and so, yeah, what I'll do is, do you have a card? What I'll do, I'll forward you my information.
Yes.
But I'll also forward you the information on the next home buyer workshop.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's my card and,
Okay, well, I'm on the way to work now, so I'll forward you, you know. Yeah.
You have other things to do.
Look, they paying the bills right now.
Keep back, because I am allergic to homelessness, so I understand.
Look, and now as soon as I can make this run, my goal is with January 1st, 2021, I'm telling them goodbye. Yeah.
I mean, we're coming there with the cake.
Yeah.
Lunch in the break room.
I quit. That's it right
Tell
there.
me your name again.
Tracy.
Tracy. Have a good day at work.
All right, you too.
All right.
okay. Let's throw this away.
So it's primarily in churches. That's my ministry. I'm retired. I'm retired status. I'm still working.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a profession.
This recurring
I have expertise.
situation.
It's something I can do. How about you? What have you been doing?
I have 25, 30 years in the remodeling and design and turnkey projects remodeling. I've designed, sold residential projects specializing in kitchens and baths. I've done that for the last 15 years. I've been part of that for the last 25, 30 years. I don't want to get out of that because that is my love and my passion, and that's what I'm good at. Doing all this stuff. But I just ended up kind of playing in real estate the last couple of years. My mother was in and out of the hospital. She just died a few months ago. While we were trying to stay with her, and I was doing my part to sit on. And she didn't live here in Atlanta. She didn't live in Columbia, South Carolina. I had people for real estate. This seemed to be a great real estate. And I thought, why don't I just take the project? I was just sitting there watching Hallmark movies on TV. And I was sitting there with nothing to do. I could at least be learning on something.
So you're doing it too?
I'm brand new. I got my license about this time, or past the state, about a year ago, less than a year ago. Joined Collins in March. Pretty intimidated by it. And I'm fine talking with people. I'm fine short answers.
Alright, so
It's weird.
I need to do that.
I'm gonna have to get some hold my hand. If I can just do one or two at a time. I'm trying to figure out.
What is
It's
my life?
run together. So I came back in the day to, but we're taking the class. But I saw this when the buyer, and I've already got a guy that I think that I'm working with, and another agent that's a friend of mine said, Karen, this guy's already pre-qualified. I talked with him and his mom, and I've got that I'm kind of getting that going, and just started spending time doing some research, as Kevin said, at Mulpin and Tucker. So if I can just get one, so I kind of get through a process, you know, get somebody to help me through it, then I'll be okay. Yeah, I can't do it by myself.
Well,
I'm not comfortable.
most people can't. Most people can't. See, I'm Lawrence making do headaches.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
I just
too.
got my license.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm learning everything.
Right.
What is my,
It's just a matter of learning the ins and outs of this.
My fear is. Hold 1 second. So I can't just So that's where I'm trying to.
Let's exchange cards.
I'll give you mine, and here's, this is the part I'm good at. I'm redoing this, I'm doing the last few. It's the same phone number. So you have to, I have to write on this one. I like to remember how I have to put things about. So I'll put singer, and I'm in. That's awesome. I love to do the same. Are you, do you have anything on Facebook? Do you have anything on YouTube that you've done? Or if I Google it, would you have something that just shows us what
Yeah.
you're saying?
And we're just gonna pull up something.
I'll show you what's while you're like, here's the plan that I did, and I actually just bought a computer, so that's doing 4 plane.
You breathing hard, what's going on?
It's overweight. Okay. Yeah, my body's getting used to all this fluff. Okay. I didn't realize I was breathing so hard.
You alright, I'm alright with it, okay?
Did you take your picture?
No, ma'am. You can just go take it now?
Yes, it's just doing a selfie, like with the phones. What's her name left?
I don't know if I'm ready for that, but we're gonna see. Let's see. Let me see what it look like. Let's see.
Yeah, just send you a link or something.
I'd love to sit here some of my, these are some of my things.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
You got it, you got it.
I did come in, I did that years ago.
Let's do a look closer with your little cute son. Jeez.
But I've done a lot.
Okay, hold your head up, lady.
That's all power and
Can you open your eyes a little bit? Okay, I need to turn this in. And we're in a solution. Chantel. Kirsten. So.
It wasn't me.
It was Chantel.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, put some money in your pocket real quick.
I know that's right.
Do you have an exchange card?
I don't have one. Yes, I do.
I
Just got to put them in my coat. You got them? This is so great. You feel so empowered. I'm ready to take it on. Yes.
This is not what I'm thinking. People say this is evidence of the part that comes to you. Okay. Yes.
You did it pass. What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
You're a Scorpio? I'm a Libra, but I'm on the cusp of Scorpio.
We'll be friends for life.
Yeah.
I have a Libra.
Unless you cross, unless they cross you.
Listen, I have a Libra in my life. When I tell you, when she make a decision, she do it.
Yes, but that's making the decision part is the hard part.
She takes action.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay if she do it by herself. She keep moving forward.
And let people do it for them.
That's exactly right.
She's one of the people in my life who is well versed at starting and finishing things. And when I need a push, I call her.
Good.
October 21st.
Is that her birthday? That is my birthday. Are you kidding me?
It's not a coincidence. You and me.
Aww, don't make me cry. Yeah.
And pre-planned all this.
Yeah.
He said, Rochelle, stop coming up here.
I got it. I got it. Just sit back and watch.
Yes, ma'am.
It's good to hear from you again.
Right. Like, I'm just trying to check how you say I'm doing well. Let me help you.
Yeah.
Yes. Her birthday is not a coincidence. You know, one thing I know about you, you gonna count your coins. Make sure you get this.
That's all
You'll leave first.
Yeah.
Chronologically.
I don't want to be on call 24/7.
Yeah.
I'm done.
You have some assets back.
Let's make up our mind. Right, but that's the making up your mind part. That's the problem. That's what I was telling the people when we first started the class. I was like, I'm just like, when I do stuff, I'm good at it. So it was really hard for me to like narrow my sphere of like what I can do. So I've kind of become like a jack of all trades.
Is that a problem?
I feel like with branding, it might be a problem. As far as saying, okay, so now I'm doing real estate. Like, now take me seriously in real estate. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, you do everything.
Well, let's take a look at it from another perspective. You remember when I was a content advisor? I'm using that to build this area.
Right.
You remember when I was determined and focused doing financial advising? I'm using that in this area. Yeah, it's not a, I don't know what we're doing question.
Yeah.
It's a statement.
Right. I'm just building upon mine.
And those who give you that post look like. All right, well, enjoy your day.
Yeah.
It's, they don't have to understand what you're doing.
It's part of my process, my journey.
Well,
Thank you.
I can't handle too much going on.
Yeah. That's what gotta be bad. You gotta get you one of these where you can roll your stuff.
Until I got the.
Yeah, because it's gonna hurt your shoulders after a while. Yeah. I remember when I was in school, I used to have like 6 books in one bag, and then one day it broke. I was like, why am I doing this? So I finally got this big. We've been kicking ever since.
Especially while in class.
And I did that.
You never know what you're gonna get. You might come home with a calendar and 3 more books.
Right.
So you never know what you're gonna get.
So I encourage you, don't stop.
Thank you.
Keep going. Just keep going. Just keep, don't stop. Somebody asked you a question? Well, how did you were doing this? Doing something different.
You have to reprioritize.
No explanation.
Okay. Doing something
I'm just
different.
gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm getting mad at me because you stopped stupid.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to find people who accept us for who we are today. Not last week.
Exactly.
Stop focusing on the past. Right.
Friendly all the time.
So I need to go ahead and talk to
Allison. Not
Stacy Stubbs.
Oh, okay.
She didn't get this. I need to give her that. Also need to go get this super situation.
Yeah, to MLS.
Yeah. I'm making love to my checking account. So I took my cards out of my wallet to prevent impulse decision making skills.
How is that working?
When I see I got a black belt in impulse decisions, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
Because I took my debit card and my credit card out to doing cash. I'm doing cash.
How is that working?
It's working. It's slowing me down. It's making me think before I spend.
Purchase. I noticed that card, you just get to swipe it.
Right, unconsciously. Like it's an Olympic sport. Just
How did that happen? Ooh.
yes, I'm purposely, making friends with my checking account, and the relationship is growing.
Good.
Yeah, we don't want to spend all 2.2 billion just because we get it in our checking account. We're gonna practice now.
Practice saving it.
So Monday,
Tuesday. Monday. What's Monday? Sorry. Monday. See you Monday. Have a good weekend.
Be well.
Senior, are you married?
I'm widow.
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 Okay.
9 years.
Do you try to, so did you go around the gym, you met anybody, or do you have interest in all that?
I've had several opportunities where nobody really thought perhaps it might be something here, and they just really didn't. But I have a person, I'm a significant other now, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, whereabouts? Where's Atlanta? Okay. Great, yeah. Yeah, so I've been here for a long time too. I have 2 grandchildren.
Yeah.
What a blessing. Are your kids here? No, we used to go. I was actually a member of Chambers Methodist.
Yeah.
And then when I got divorced, because that was my husband's church, I quit. I can't remember his name. If you said it, I would remember it. I remember what he looked like. I can't remember his name. But then after him, and gosh, he was attractive looking man, dark hair, kind of, not that, but broadly built. I cannot think of him. He now he's been much older. I grew up Lutheran. My dad was Jewish, but never ordained that. I became Methodist. Then when I got divorced, I got real involved in that church. But it just was very uncomfortable going to church. And my husband come in with his girlfriend, and he had kids. And they're sitting in her lap, and it was so, I walked out with tears, and he just collapsed. You know, it was just so hard. Oh yeah, I mean, it was obnoxious. And this is a long time ago, so I asked him now, but because I got my back. And I loved the people there, because I got to know a lot of the people. I still see them once in a while. Then, so he says, you need to go to Peachtree Presbyterian, because it's a huge singles group. So I started going there, and yeah, it was a great singles group, but it wasn't right for my kids. And I kept going up, but I started a single parents group in that church. And we ran it for, and I also started right in Peachtree Presbyterian. Huge. At that time, it was Dr. Harrington, Frank Harrington. Oh, wow. Yeah. And at that time, they had more single members than they had married. But now came to the second, came to the book. That's the way it was. But we bonded, and I saw a need in the church, and I started a program that I ran for 2 years in that church for divorced parents and for the children of divorced parents. I ran that program. Oh, I was working full time raising my own 2 kids. Wow. I look back, I don't feel like I've done anything, but you look back at your accomplishments and like, oh, I did a lot of stuff. And then I just, once my kids got out, I quit going there because it just, I'm not Presbyterian material, it's too formal for me. And I quit going because I was working jobs, retail jobs that kept me, such unusual hours, I couldn't be a part of anything. And I missed that.
Yeah, of course.
I missed that. And I'm sitting there going, I'm probably not getting back into that church. It really doesn't matter to me what it is. It's more camaraderie for me and the people.
Well, sounds like you were Methodist at heart.
Yeah, that one worked. That one worked well.
But I remember sharing Methodist too. I sang there many times.
Wow, so you went around to all the
That's what I was trying to find out who the pastor was. Who it is.
I gotta go look at it. I have to go find it out because I've got a picture of him holding up. I just ran across a picture the other day.
What years were you there?
I got married in 78, so probably 78 through about 80. My son was baptized there too, so through 85 probably. 85, 87. Yeah, through 87, through probably 88. And then after him was Chuck and Penny Hodges. And I knew them because Penny and his wife, they were young couple my age at that time, where we were. They were in our, they were in my Sunday school class. I loved him, Chuck Gray. He ended up going to Peachtree City. And it's funny because a friend of mine from Columbus said, Karen, you gotta come, we got this new minister coming. I went to go visit a guy that grew up with me that was in Peachtree City. He says, you need to come see this. We got this new minister. You should come see him. Well, and then I knew him very well, and I knew his family, and I ended up just going to see him. And that was their new minister, but it was Chuck Hodges.
I remember Chuck.
And he, oh God, I can't think of it. I wish I could think of the name of the guy minister before him. I really liked him.
I probably knew him too.
You would. Yeah. there's, and you know, the thing is, they change, and I went back because I go here, do you know Mikeville, do you know Beckyville? She's an agent here.
No.
I signed up under her, but I know Mike, because Mike is a musician, and he lives in my neighborhood, and I've always loved live music, because I go here a lot and I love to dance. So, Mike was telling me, Mike and Becky go to Shelby Methodist. They said, well, you want to come back? I said, well, I would, but my ex's dad's still there, and he's still kind of, I mean, it doesn't bother me like it did them. Things have changed. I said, but I love all these people I used to know. They're wonderful people.
Yeah, and right now I'm trying to remember the pastors that was brought up, but I put them all.
They're all out. I might recognize them.
Because right now I can't think of the name, but North Georgia Conference, not very many North Georgia Conference churches I've sung in.
Wow.
I mean,
how fun is that?
Peachtree Road.
I used to sing in the ladies' choir at Shelby Methodist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, I've done it.
Oh, okay. I have a friend there, and I visit. I like that church. That's a good church.
Yeah, since 2015.
And I've been to Dunwoody Baptist too. Do you go around? Are you Methodist or do you go to one?
Yeah, I'm a song evangelist in the Methodist church. And so for I've sung for every major United Methodist church function in the world.
Well, I gotta go Google you. Are you gonna come up if I Google you? I gotta hear you.
Probably would.
Come on,
But I'm trying to, World Methodist Conference, it was the United Methodist Men's Convocation at Purdue University. Some of the women's conferences, annual conference. I've been at the music annual conference. Bishop Watson retired at 16. I was the whole conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Methodist Church, that's I've been singing in the Methodist Church for 50 years. In this conference. So.
Did you grow up in a singing family?
Yeah, basically we're music
Right.
Yeah.
I wish I mean, I can sing, I've got I can follow a tune, and I've got I got harmonizing voice. But I always wish, man, what a gift that is.
Oh, yeah,
what a gift that, because you can really share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Share
it's
that
wonderful.
gift.
I've loved it, I started out with Atlanta Center, of course, when I first graduated college.
You would know Monica Northover, because she used to play in the Atlanta Symphony, the cello.
I mean, I wouldn't know the orchestra players.
No, maybe not.
I was in the chorus.
Okay.
Robert Shaw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, you're Dunwoody Methodist. You know Lauren Patton. Lauren and what is her husband's name? Lauren Patton. She is in the nursery. She's a member. She was a sorority sister in Georgia. Lauren, I can't think of her husband's name. And Amanda is her daughter, who's now in college at Georgia. Patton.
I don't know them right now on top of my head. A lot of them probably know me, but I don't know them.
Right.
A lot.
Well, yeah, because that's how many people in that church.
5,000.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like Beach Street Road.
That used to be 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't know. Yeah, what they're good for 7,000 singles at the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I made a lot of good girlfriends. I still run into people.
Yeah. I think we're in good circles now, even here,
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
Anybody looking at that kind of just in case they don't sorry. Go after it. Yeah. Absolutely. Nope. I don't want to go to jail. Yes.
Alright, so
stole it from Lauren Lindsay. She had it.
Are you gonna be free for a minute? Okay, I'll be right back. Everything okay?
Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, the door's open, I might have to go around.
Oh, yeah.
They typically take a break at 11, 11:15, 11:30, 15-minute break. And also break is
Did you talk to Jimmy?
No. I need to figure it out.
That's why Google is your friend. Kirsten, I shudder to think that this recording is still going.
Oh Lord.
And yes, it is.
This happens to me all the time then, because they probably caught me eating salads and just